He was becoming an annoying tenant.
Yes. All the sexual acts taking place.
So you heard what was going on behind his closed doors.
Right, day and night.
Okay.
Like there's no tomorrow.
Mr. Davis, a couple of years ago, you were a tenant of the defendant's.
Correct, Your Honor.
You rented a room from him?
Correct, Your
In his
Honor.
house. For how long?
For about a year, a little over.
From when to when?
2020, I want to say the beginning of the year till about the end.
Do you remember the dates that he was a tenant?
Yes, they're incorrect what he's saying. It was from May of 2020 to November 2020.
Does that sound right, Mr. Davis?
It's something like that, yeah.
May, June, July, August, September, October, and when in November did he leave?
I believe it was by the 10th.
This is what your case is about. Briefly, it is your claim that you and Mr. Zadie had some sort of an argument.
Correct.
Which you'll tell me about. And Mr. Zadie called the police. You were taken from the premises. Mm-hmm. You were arrested, spent the night in jail, mailed yourself out. And this happened in 2020.
Correct.
In November of 2020. Your lawsuit is for false arrest and actual damages. You had to post bail and for filing a false police report. The reason that you have delayed for 2 years in bringing this case against him is because you say you had another action pending.
Correct, Your Honor.
What was the nature of the other action that you had pending?
It was a speeding issue with the police.
Well, it's not a speeding issue with the police. Were you stopped for speeding? Were you arrested for speeding?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
You were arrested for speeding?
Yeah, and they called it a 2800 VC, if my memory serves me correct.
Well, I don't know what that is.
It's, I guess, evading.
Look into it.
In what city and state do you live?
Irvine, California.
Let me understand this. Very few people are arrested for speeding. You remember what you were arrested for, sir? You weren't arrested for speeding.
They called it evading an officer because I didn't pull over right away.
So you were evading an officer. Let's try that, Sarah.
Evading a police officer in a vehicle. It's vehicle code 2800-1.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, what does it say?
Prohibits evading an officer in a vehicle, which means willfully fleeing from a police officer when the officer is pursuing the person in a car or on a bike. The offense is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year in jail.
Okay, so you had a misdemeanor pending, right? Anything else?
No, that was it.
Anything else historically?
Yes, I did have historical priors and cases and stuff from my past. Yes, I did.
Recent past or distant past?
Distant past.
How distant?
Years. I want to say 2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't have to go into 2004. So you had this case pending and you felt that it was inappropriate to bring a civil case against him.
Yeah, because I didn't want the cases to intertwine, Your Honor.
They weren't going to intertwine. The case that he brought against you was eventually dismissed.
Correct.
In what month and year was it dismissed?
It was dismissed the same month, about 2 weeks after that.
Is that right?
I believe so.
Okay, so let me understand this. He alleged that you assaulted him or threatened him. You were taken into custody. The DA examined the case and decided not to prosecute it.
Correct.
And that was 2 years ago.
Correct.
Well, I don't know who gave you advice, sir, or whether you did this on your own, but bringing a civil case against someone for something has no impact whatsoever on a pending criminal case, be it a felony or a misdemeanor. You know, if you were driving in a car and someone hit you in the rear in November of 2020, and you waited 2 years to bring that because you had this evading a police officer action and you thought that that was a valid reason, your case would be dismissed for the hit in the rear and whatever injuries you had, because you're supposed to bring these things in a timely fashion.
I understand.
2 years is not a timely fashion. Now that I've suggested that to you, I would like to hear what you say transpired in November 2020 to the best of your recollection.
On November the 9th, 2020, me and my former landlord, Alex Aditi over here, we had an argument about a guest that I had over.
Okay. You had an argument over the phone or in person?
Over the phone.
Tell me how that phone call was initiated.
He texted me some things and I called him because I wanted to...
Okay, he texted you. Do you have a copy of that text?
No, I don't have the text.
Do you recall what that text said?
Yes, I do.
Tell me what it said.
I told him that he has to get his girlfriend out of the house because she's been coming in every day and night, staying there.
Okay, so you said, in effect, I rented you this room, not your girlfriend.
Correct.
You got to get her out of the house.
Yes.
Okay.
I had
You remember her name?
to him prior.
Just a second. You remember her name?
Not.
What was her name?
Tawana.
Now, when you
Well,
rented
I
the
was
room
alone.
in May, just a second. When you rented the room in May and you moved in, did Tawana move in with you?
She did not move in with me.
So when you rented the room for yourself in May, you rented the room as a single person.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And when did you bring Tawana into the room?
It would be once in a while.
No. What month, sir?
I don't recall the exact month.
What month, sir?
It started happening like back in August, every day. It started one day, then every other day, and then it became constant day and night.
For how long?
For a long, long time, till towards the November when it just went out of proportion.
The argument was about having his girlfriend, according to you, practically living there.
Right.
And you didn't want her there?
No.
Okay, because you rented a room to a single man who, until the girlfriend started to come in, I assume you didn't have trouble with.
Right.
So that's what your text message said to him in November, and as a result of that text message, you called him on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to lay out the story.
Okay.
So you called him on the phone, and you said what to him, and he said what to you?
I don't recall exactly what I said to him, but I remember he told me to tell her, get the out, get out my house, get the out right now. Your girlfriend is a... He was saying a bunch of derogatory things over the phone to me, and then hung up in my face. I'm working at the time, so when I came back...
Did you call your girlfriend?
No, I didn't call her.
Did you text her?
We speak regularly. We were talking all
No,
the time.
then.
Yes, she knew about it. She did.
Don't tell me what she knew. I just asked you if you texted her or called her.
Yeah, I did.
You did. And when you texted or called her, was she in the house? Was she in your room?
No, she was gone already at this time. When we were arguing,
Just a second. Is that because he told her to leave?
No, she was leaving already. She had work to go to. She wasn't living there. She had her own place and job in Lakewood, California. And I would tell him that all the time, but he would always insinuate that, oh, no, she's living there. I'm like, no, she's not. She pays $2,000 in rent.
He lives in the house with you.
Right.
Now, before Tawana, had you had any difficulty with him? You
None
moved
at
in
all.
May. May, did you have any difficulty? No.
No.
June, did you have any difficulty?
No.
July, did you have any difficulty?
No.
No. You didn't have difficulty until Tawana came.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
So he told you in a very rude way, if I accept it, to get Tawana out of his house.
Correct, Your Honor.
Then you came home from work.
Mm-hmm.
What time did you get home from work?
About 9-ish.
And Tawana was gone.
Yes, she was gone.
Had she taken her things?
There was nothing for her to take. She didn't bring stuff over there. She wasn't living there.
No, but she came over there and stayed a few days a week and never had any stuff.
Overnight bag.
Okay,
That's
but
it.
she took
Yeah.
it with her when she
Yeah,
left.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got home about 9 o'clock, and what happened?
I got home at 9 and I said, don't disrespect me and my woman. You know, this is the woman I
Okay.
love.
When you got home, you walked in the front door. Where was he?
He was in the kitchen and he had a female guest there too. That was
He's allowed to have a female guest. It's his house.
Yeah, right. The pot calling the kettle black, basically.
No,
Hypocrisy.
Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, if you rent a room to a single guy, did you have a lease agreement with him?
Yeah, I did have a lease
Did
agreement.
you have a written lease?
Yes, I did.
Did your written lease provide that you were going to live there?
Yes, it did.
Just you?
Yes.
Well, you bring in another person, that's in violation of the lease.
That's not a violation of the lease because there was nothing in the lease that said I couldn't have guests. He actually said I could have guests.
Guest is one thing. A guest is somebody that doesn't come with an overnight bag regularly.
No, he said I
one
could
day,
have overnight
2 days, 3 days, 4 days.
Mm.
That's more than an occasional guest. That's somebody that comes and goes even when you're not there. Because according to you, you contacted Tawana while you were at work and she was at the house.
That's false.
Well, I thought you contacted her and then you said she left. She took a few things with her, probably just an overnight bag.
No, she was not going there when I wasn't there. That's false.
Are you saying that she was not in your room when you were not home?
When I was not there, no,
Yeah.
she would not be there.
That true?
No, he had made a key to her. She would come as she pleased.
Did you make her
That's
a key?
false. That's absolutely false.
Did you make her a key?
No, that's
is my
absolutely
question.
false. No, I
Do you
didn't
still
make her a
speak to Tawana?
No, I don't. We kind of fell out of touch.
If I were to call Tawana and ask her whether or not you made a key, would she tell me she did or she didn't?
She would say that I didn't.
Didn't.
Yeah.
Great. Phone number.
Uh,
I have it in my system.
I don't have her number saved here.
I'm not exactly buying the fact that Tawana did not have access to the home even when you weren't there. Even if it was just a half hour before you came home from work, sir. You work until 9 o'clock every night?
Your Honor, I had this to say about the whole key situation. I gave her my key when I was locked up in jail from his false police report. I gave her my property, and she had my key then to help me get the stuff out of his home. But I never went and made her a copy of a key
Did she
anyway.
ever use your key other than when you were incarcerated?
No.
He says she did.
I said, you're a bitch. I called him a bitch. I did the things that he said. And I said, don't be disrespectful to my woman and me. And I said, you're a bitch. I called him a bitch. I did. But I never threatened him,
You
harassed
said
him.
What?
That's it.
What does that mean? That's a half a sentence.
Well,
He was calling him a bitch. You are a bitch.
Oh, you were calling him?
yes, because he says
a
these
guy.
things over the phone.
He's a guy. Why would
Yeah.
you call him a...
Because he says all these things over the phone and he gets real loud
Gender
and,
neutral,
and he's a
what? This is
completely different
gender-
person when he's on the
Just a
phone
second.
than when I'm in
You
his.
think that's gender neutral?
At this point.
Well, there you go. That's why I have you here. Okie dokie.
So-
Okay, so you were going, don't call me that. You called him a name, and then things got heated, and then what happened?
No, things didn't get heated. After that, he said, "Oh, that's how you want to do it?" And then I said, "If you want to get me evicted, you have to go through it the right way and do it legally and give me a 30-day eviction."
No, he must have said to you, I want you out of here because you called me a name.
It
If you
wasn't
said, if
about-
you want me evicted, then he had to have said something about getting you out.
He didn't really say, I don't remember him mentioning anything about me getting out. I just remember the fact that he called the police to
No,
get me.
before he called the police. You were still in the kitchen. Do you ever leave the kitchen?
Yes, I did.
Where did you go?
I went to my room.
Okay. Before you went to your room, did you hear him on the phone with the police?
I did.
Before you went to
Yes.
your room?
Yes.
Okay. And?
And I didn't sit there and listen to his phone call. I took a video and I started recording because I didn't want to be made out to look like the guilty party. And I had it pretty much live streaming the whole time, which was an Instagram video.
Can I see it?
No, I don't have the video. The
But
police
then it
deleted
doesn't
it.
exist. If you
Yeah.
don't have it, it doesn't
Yeah,
exist for my purpose.
Understood.
But you had it then.
Yeah, I did have it then.
You did. And the police came,
Yes.
and I assume if the police came, you showed them the video.
Yeah, I was showing it to him.
And despite showing them the video, they took you into custody.
Despite showing them the video, they
Just a
took me to
second,
custody.
despite looking at the video,
Yes.
which I haven't
They
seen.
didn't look at the video. They refused to look at it.
well, let's go one step further. You see, Mr. Davis, this is why you bring actions right away. So that not only everybody's memory is fresh, but if I wanted to call a police officer
where you're
who
coming.
responded or whatever, that's why you bring an action right away.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So now you're taken into custody and you have a video that is totally, according to you, exculpatory.
I don't know the definition.
Exculpatory means it says that you were not guilty of anything.
Okay.
And you appear in court?
No, I didn't appear in court.
Never?
No, never.
Well, what happened to the case?
The case was thrown out. It was a DA reject because there was insufficient evidence that I did anything to him.
And you never showed the district attorney your video?
I didn't get a chance to because the video was deleted by the police.
The police department deleted your video?
Yeah, they did.
You are a terrible victim of circumstance, Mr. Davis. Did you ever make a complaint that the police department deleted your video that would be exculpatory?
No.
Why not? I would if I had.
Maybe ignorance of the law, I guess.
What?
I said maybe ignorance of the law, I guess. Not knowing. When you know better, you know better.
No, Mr. Davis. Actually, I mean, sometimes you really don't know what the law is, but you were smart enough, you said, to tell me, because you knew I would say, why wait 2 years? That you didn't want this action to conflict with another action. Well,
Yeah.
that's a two-process thinker.
I've had something like that happen to me before where I had a criminal case and a civil case pending, and the dates were kind of intertwining and messing, and they're about to get in the way of my civil case. So I didn't want to make that same mistake with this case, Your Honor.
Okay, so you want to tell me what your version of the events were of November 9th of 2020?
Yes, Your Honor. I had gone to Mexico for a business trip meeting, and I had my friend who was visiting from Mexico staying at my place, and at that same time, I had another roommate who was renting the room next to Ryan Davis's room. His name was Dave. I received a call from Dave on November 9th that is constant sex going on.
Okay, so you received a call from the other person living in your house who you
Right.
were renting a room to.
Right.
Okay, and then, don't tell me what he said. Don't tell me, that's all hearsay.
Well, I've heard prior to all the sexual acts taking place.
Listen to me. You personally,
Yes.
when you were home.
Yes.
Okay, so you heard what was going on behind his closed doors.
Right. Day and night.
Okay.
Like there's
Fine.
no tomorrow.
Okay, well, maybe, maybe jealous. Okay.
Disrespectful.
Okay, so he was becoming an annoying tenant
Yes.
for whatever reason.
Yes.
Keep going. You sent him a text. He called you. You had heated words. He comes home from work. You're in the kitchen.
Yes.
He comes into the kitchen and
And I told him, Ryan, we've gone through this many times before. I've addressed this to you about your girlfriend coming here all the time, day and night, and now she's here every day. What he was doing was sneaking her in late at night, and that's how I will know that she snuck back in. There were times I came home from work, and she was already there when Ryan wasn't even there, so she had the key, obviously.
okay, now let's go to November 9th.
November 9, I confronted him. I said that this is just way too much. My other roommate wants to leave. He cannot take it anymore. And then he said, well, she isn't here. And
Okay, he said she wasn't here. Keep going.
Then he cussed at my friend who was visiting from Mexico. He said, get this bitch out of here.
That's not true.
Don't interrupt.
And,
Okay.
I said, you can talk to her.
Okay, let's go.
Right. Then he went into his room. He came back. He brought a samurai sword with him. And he flashed at me. I'm going to slice you in half like a butter.
Okay.
What?
And I'm like shocked at that time. Don't know what's going on with him because he's just changing character. I'm scared of my life. I'm scared of my guests.
Okay. And then what happened? So
And
he
then
came out
I said,
with...
you need to get out of here. You need to move.
And then he went back. He didn't do anything with the sword.
No, he didn't. He went back in the room with the sword. He put it there, but then he came back and he pushed me against the wall. As he was pushing me, I tried to block him by putting my two hands up. And when he pushed me, it bruised. I had a cut on my wrist, but there was a bruise.
Okay.
And
Now,
I
at what
said, I'm going to
point...
call the police.
Okay, so you called the police when he came back out of his room the second time, this time without the sword. And the police took a report.
Yes.
Do you have that report?
Yes,
I'd
right
like
here.
to see it. Mr. Davis, do you have a copy of the police report or
I
any
have it right
follow-up
here, too.
report? I'd like to see that too. Mr. Davis, where did you get the sword from?
My girlfriend at the time,
Which girlfriend?
Twana.
When did she get it for you?
She got it during my birthday, for a birthday gift.
When's your birthday?
October 31st.
And this happened on November 9th.
Correct.
Between October 31st and November 9th, did you have occasion to show Mrs. Zadie prior to November 9th? So
Never,
between
Your Honor.
31st and the 8th, did you show Mr. Zadie the sword? Did you ever show Mr. Zadie the sword?
No, Your Honor.
No.
No.
Okay. So unless he went into your room,
He went into my room.
unless he went into your room prior to November 9th, there was no way he would have seen the sword.
Correct.
Okay. And when did you go away on this business trip, sir?
On the 9th.
That day.
Yes, in the morning.
And on what day did you first see this sword that was in his room?
On the evening of November 9th.
That was the first time, not his
First-
birthday, not second day, not third day. Okay. Does his room have a lock on it, by the way?
From inside.
From inside. Mr. Davis, were you on probation at the time of this incident for
Yes.
something in Riverside
Yes,
that involved a fraud?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And that wasn't a fraud dating back to 2004.
It was dating back
No, it wasn't an incident.
for 2000 and I believe 15.
Okay. So when you told me before, and I'm not even going to have Whitney read it back, you said the last time you had this speeding little problem and evading police, I said, well, before that? And you said, yeah, I did before that in 2004.
Correct.
But that was a lie.
Which was like
Just a second, that was a lie. You had another case involving a fraud in 2015
It wasn't.
on which you were on probation, which means that you were either found guilty or took a plea.
correct.
Okay. And when the police officer, Mr. Davis, took down your statement, you said that while you acknowledged that you had a samurai sword in your room, you said you had never shown it to Mr. Zadie.
Correct, Your Honor.
You had never showed it at any time. Well, then how would he
Never at
know
any time.
that you had a samurai sword, sir, in your room when he called the police?
Because he was going in my room, I believe, when I was not there, going through my stuff.
Okay.
That's the only other way I can know that he was.
I'm not finished reading this, yes.
Okay, that's fine.
That's like the 2015 case. You just remembered. Do you have any other police reports that you'd like me to see, Mr. Davis?
Not a police report, but I have the bail bonds receipt that I paid, and
I'm not
also-
interested in your bail bonds receipt.
I have the DA reject.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, they rejected the case right here.
Yeah,
They refused
like
to
to
file
see it.
charges. Your Honor, there's a conflicting story where he said he was left on the 9th because he was there 2 weeks with his guest prior to that. So how could he leave on the 9th if his guest was there 2 weeks prior to
I
the
asked
9th?
him when he left for it. Sir, you didn't understand the reason for my question. I wanted to know if he had been gone from October 31st, which was your birthday, to the 8th. That's why I asked him when he left on his business trip.
Correct.
And he said he didn't leave until the date of this incident. You want to say he left before?
He did
That would
leave
be
before.
interesting.
He
What?
did leave before.
He did.
Yes.
On what date did he leave?
I don't know the exact date, but I
A
know
week before, 5 days before?
it was maybe about a few weeks before.
November 9th?
Yeah, a few weeks.
Then he wouldn't have been able to see your sword because he wouldn't have been coming in and out of your room.
There from the 9th.
Well,
from
this
the
happened on the
31st
9th.
From the 31st to the 9th, he was there.
Well, you just told me he left 2 weeks before.
I'm saying he was gone before that date, and then on the 31st, between the 31st and the 9th, he was there at the
Okay, well, that's what he says. He said he was there. The business was only one day. He left on the 9th and he came home on the 9th. You said no, he was there for 2 weeks before. Well, if he was there for 2 weeks before and you didn't get the sword until 31st of October, he could not have seen it by going in and out of your room. So you have to sort of get your story straight, sir. So he was there or not there, according to you?
There.
He was there?
Correct.
Okay, good.
His guest was also there for about 2 weeks.
Just who cares about his guest? He owns the house. Okay, it was a misdemeanor case and they declined to prosecute it.
Correct.
So what? Your case is dismissed, Mr. Davis, for several reasons. It's dismissed because it was brought in an untimely fashion. It was brought 2 years after the fact for no valid reason.
Your Honor,
It's
it was
dismissed for that.
pandemic.
It's dismissed for a second reason, because I find some of your testimony, sir, incredible. And one of the reasons I say that is because you were not forthcoming with a legitimate answer to me with regard to your prior history, which isn't always dispositive. But if you had something pending for evading the police, and you had something pending for evading the police while you were on probation for a crime for which you were convicted, either after trial or after hearing, do you understand? You would remember that. Are you still on probation?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, your case is dismissed. We're done. This court is
It's a
adjourned.
big mistake, Your Honor. You have guests over 2 to 3 weeks at a time, but I have a girl over for 3 days, and now it's World War III.
He was only allowed to stay there by himself, not with his girlfriend.
I never went at him with a samurai sword.
It was pretty scary.
He basically just used the system against me because I'm a person of color and I have a record already, so I fit the bill.
He had a criminal record. When I rented the room to him, he was asking for a second chance.
It's easier for them to lock somebody up who's already been to jail.
Nobody was renting him the room, and he was saying he's trying to start a new life.
I'm 6'1", 200 pounds. I wouldn't even need a weapon if I was going to assault him, but I never did.
Thank you, Judge Judy.
You know, there are so many lessons from this case, I think, Sarah. One of them is there's a reason that the law tells you to bring an action in a timely fashion, right?
Many reasons.
Many reasons. One is because it's not like an afterthought, you know, and there are reasons for delays. You were in a hospital, you go into the armed forces, but here there was no really legitimate reason for him not bringing this kind of case in a timely fashion. And the other one that's always a good thing to me, what did you think about his credibility?
Yeah, I think it's hard for a fact finder to believe the totality of your testimony if one of the first questions, just about a simple question of your prior history with law enforcement, if you have any pending charges, I think that's a very simple question. If you aren't fully truthful with the fact finder on that question, it makes it really difficult, and the rest of your testimony is now suspect.
That's true. And it's a good lesson, because sometimes you think, well, it's sort of an innocuous question. I don't have to, but if I, sitting as a juror in a case, see that somebody is fabricating a fact, and they want you to believe them. You know, they're saying it is, I want you to believe my last law enforcement issue was in 2004.
A long time ago, no run-ins.
Right, no, nothing else.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is your girlfriend.
My fiance, yes.
Is she divorced?
She's widowed.
Since when?
June 6th,
Of what year?
2022.
Well, let me understand this. Prior to you being a widow, you were involved with Mr. Horath. Were you divorced?
I was going through a divorce.
Okay. And then he passed away.
Yes.
Mr. Horath, in 2013, you were incarcerated. How long?
5 years.
And you have 2 little girls.
Yes, ma'am.
When you were incarcerated, were the children living with you prior to being incarcerated?
Yes.
They were living with you?
Yes.
When you went to prison, was there any reason the children didn't go with their mother?
She left him with my mother.
So your mother obtained custody of your children 9 years ago
Yes.
and raised them.
Yes.
You got out of prison when?
September 2017.
And when you got out of prison, your mother invited you to come and live in the house?
Yes.
In her house?
Yes, ma'am.
Who else lives in her house?
My grandmother.
Who I understand from these papers is suffering from Alzheimer's. So your mother was taking care of her mother and your 2 daughters.
Yes.
So your fiance now, who looks as if she's expecting a child, was your mother's next door neighbor?
Yes.
And you became involved with her when?
End of October 2020, or 19, I'm sorry.
And when you became involved with her, you have 2 children.
Yes.
You invited her with your mother's permission to move in to your mother's house with her 2 children.
Yes, ma'am.
We did agree that she could move in and stay in the guest.
Had you been living in the house by yourself with the 2 girls?
Yes, I have.
How large a house is it?
It's pretty good, decent size. It was a 1,980 square feet, now expanded out another 800 feet, so quite 5 bedrooms, 3 baths.
How do you support yourself?
I own my own business. I'm a nurse. Due to the fact of taking care of my granddaughters and my parents at the time, I had to resign from Fort Irwin, working there because of couldn't commit to the hours. So because of that, I went ahead and got my own business of doing home infusions, and that started right before the pandemic. And so I work a lot.
Anybody help you take care, before they moved in, anybody help you take care of the girls and your mother?
No, it was me.
Now, what kind of work do you do?
I'm a truck driver.
And you?
Nursing student and mother?
So you don't work.
No.
How do you support yourself?
I was going to school and...
Well, supporting yourself doesn't go to school unless you were getting money for going to school. Were you getting money for going to school?
Yes.
From whom?
From financial aid.
How much?
Maybe like $800, $900 a month. And this was before I was living with Danny and Nancy.
And after you moved in with Danny and Nancy?
I was helping her take care of her mother, and her VA was paying me to take care of her.
She was getting the veterans aid and attendance. I gave her that extra money to help out with my mom and those expenses.
And then currently, I'm taking care of our young son we have together.
So you have a child together and expecting another one?
Yes.
So then you'll have 4 children, correct? Yes. And you will have 4 children?
I will have 4 children, yes.
Sounds as if your mother did some very nice things for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Sounds as if Miss Castleman did some very nice things for you.
Yes.
Why do you think she's suing you?
Out of anger,
Mr. Horath, why would she be angry at either one of you?
because we decided that we were going to go ahead off and do our own thing, and she was no longer included in being part of that.
Like what?
Well, being part of a family or a unit. Once my grandmother's health declined and she went to a facility, there was no more communication about anything that was going on around the house anymore.
I don't know what you mean by that. Your fiancé's arrangement was that she was being paid by the VA to take care of your grandmother.
Yes.
And then your grandmother, according to you, had to go into a facility.
Yes.
Which means your fiancé isn't getting any more payment from the VA.
Correct.
Now, you're working, you drive a truck.
Yes.
Were you contributing towards the running of the household?
Oh, of course. Yes.
How much?
Whatever needed to be paid.
No. Tell me what you paid.
I paid the Edison, half the Edison.
Well, that's not a set amount.
I
Do you
paid
understand?
$300 a month.
Well, that's an amount. So you paid $300 a month towards the Con Edison.
Yes, ma'am.
What else did you pay?
We paid for the trash,
How much was the trash?
$50 a month.
What else?
I paid for the food
For who?
for our family.
Well, for all of you or just for you, your fiancé, and the 4 children?
And my grandmother, yes, and my grandmother and Nancy too.
Not for me.
Speak.
She would come over and have dinner with us quite often. And I would make her meals and send them to her.
What you're saying is, because I read when you said she would come over for dinner, there came a time when there were an awful lot of people living in the house, and your mother, because it was so crowded, moved into a trailer on the premises, and you moved into the master suite.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Say thank you, Mom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Now, did you pay for anything else that you're not telling me?
Yes, we paid for the internet.
Their internet.
Yes.
For your own internet?
Yes.
I'm talking about expenses for the house. I assume the mortgage was paid off. Is that what
Yes.
you wrote
Yes.
here?
Danny did pay for the property taxes.
Okay, well then, that was my next question. Property taxes. Did you pay for any of that?
Yes.
How much did you pay?
It was $12.64 a year.
Anything else?
Remodeling expenses that we did to the home.
I know it was expanded, and it was expanded after you were there.
Yes.
Yes. And do you know how much the remodeling expenses were?
The additions were done before I came home, but everything else was added to when we were living there.
Like what?
The pellet stove had went out, so we bought a new one.
Oh, I'm not interested.
Okay.
I'm not interested in that. I'm talking about regular. So let me get to my trusty computer. We have $300 a month for Con Ed. So I don't even have to do that. I could do 1, 2, 6, 4. Everybody knows me now. I'm a little challenged with regard to these things. Divided by 12 equals $105 a month. And $300 a month for Con Ed and $50 for trash is $5. So you paid in total the expenses that you told me, $455 a month for living in a 5-bedroom house. I'm just setting the stage for this. You paid $455 a month for living in a 5-bedroom house, and your mother moved out to live in a trailer so that you could be in the master suite with your fiancé, a new baby, and one on the way. Those are the objective facts that I have.
Okay.
Now, so I asked you, because your mother is suing for a lot of stuff, and I don't understand why somebody would take this approach when she was nothing but good to both of you. You screwed up your life. She got stuck raising your 2 children, working full-time, and taking care of a sick mother. You know what, you go to school, and you're a full-time mother, but that's very nice. But she's not your mother, she's not your grandmother, she's nobody to you. She took you in and your 2 children. What do you think you did to make her so angry that she would sue you? I'm curious.
I honestly don't know.
Well, you started to tell me that you moved on because she ultimately gave you notice to leave.
We actually gave her notice we were leaving, and that's when all that started.
Okay. Did you also tell your mother that you wanted to buy the house?
Yes, I did.
from her?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Well, that started the trouble. And your mother's response was?
Of course. She said okay.
And what happened?
I went and applied for a loan. They told me that I did not meet the criteria for the loan. I said, okay, that's fine. What about a rent-to-own option to buy? And she said, okay. We tried to get a real estate agent to go ahead and write out the contract. At that point in time, she wanted to move one of her nurses onto the property, into the trailer that she was living in. I did not feel comfortable with a stranger living on our property. I don't know them. I don't want them around my children. I don't know who they are. And if I'm going to be buying a home, I wouldn't want to.
You're not buying anything. You were renting.
With the option to buy. I want to buy the home, and then when I go back to apply for the loan in a year, I was going to buy the home.
Maybe not. Mr. Horace, so far, you see, you have somebody who has done all things to make your life, which you screwed up a little bit, more comfortable. Takes you in, takes your girls in, takes your girlfriend in, takes your girlfriend's kids in, allows you to have more latitude and more freedom by moving herself out of her own home, which is totally paid off, into a trailer so that you could be more comfortable. And she said, you want to buy the house? Fine. You couldn't get a loan. Well, could I rent to buy? One of my nurses, she's not talking about moving in some sex offender into a trailer next to her grandchildren, who she's raised. So I wouldn't see what your problem is with that, but that's neither here nor there. So that started an acrimonious separation. I'm not going to rent the house because I'm not going to allow you to move somebody that I don't know. I'm not even going to meet them. Somebody that I don't know into the trailer. Where are you living now?
We have our own home now.
Where?
Because we didn't agree with, we didn't want to live with her nurse, so we went
Just a second. I said the question is, where is your own home?
in Hellendale.
Is that where she lives?
Near.
How near?
10 miles up the road.
And when did you move there?
July 14th.
How big a house?
It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath.
Who owns the house?
We're renting
And how much are you paying in rent?
$2,500.
So you got a smaller house at 5 times what you were paying her. Is that what I'm hearing? You paid $455 monthly to your mother.
We also paid her van payment, but we
What?
also used the van. Her van payment, it was $900 a month.
Did you use the van?
Yes.
Oh, good. Then you,
Well,
good.
we used it to also take her mother to,
Did you use the van
yes.
for you and your children and his children?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. So I want to know if she's right down the road and she was good to you for a decade, why is she not included with your family anymore?
She chose not to be.
Really?
Yeah, she wants to work all the time. When we invite her to do things or family functions or church functions, she would never come.
Well, you say never. You just moved out a month ago.
This is prior to us moving out. We haven't talked to her since we moved.
You mean prior to you moving out, you would invite her. And what you said was, can you read that back? She's working all the time? Is that, I just want to know if that's what you said.
He said, yeah, she wants to work all the time. When we invite her to do things or church functions, she would never come.
Okay. Unpaid living expenses, electric bill. All right, let's get to the electric bill. He said he paid $300 a month. What does he owe for the electric bill and for what months?
I was on a level play plan for every month, and it went up higher. The rates have increased for in the past year. So that was $900. It was $1,800, the bill that came out. So it actually increased over last year, and I have copies of that. So I asked for them to pay half.
Did they ever pay the extra money?
No.
Okay. And they continue to live there?
That just came up in May. Yes.
Okay, well, then I'm not interested in that. Go ahead. What else? What other living expenses?
Well, the other electric bill, they were still there. They didn't pay for that one.
Which
was
one?
The one from June to July.
Were you there in June, July?
Yes, ma'am. And I have evidence that I did pay.
Okay, I'd like to
for
see
some-
it.
I paid $3, not the whole amount.
No, I did pay.
Just let me see that you paid it. June 19th, $600.
That was not for this electric bill. It was for
No, that was for Edison.
It says Con Edison.
Yes.
There was another bill that still needed. It was like $723.
I don't care.
That he owed.
Okay, he paid $600 in June of 2022. You have vet bills here and personal items taken without permission. And the personal items taken without permission, you took some of her things. What did you take that didn't belong to you?
Nothing.
Well, you acknowledge that you did.
I-
You acknowledge that either you or your fiance took things that didn't belong to you. You said you returned them, but you took them.
They were packed by other family members that were helping us pack.
And
So,
so they were taken without her permission.
yes.
By your agents, by people who were helping you. So they were your agents. What was taken?
I guess there was a gun that
Not
was...
guess. I don't want to hear guess.
There was a gun that was packed.
Okay. Did you get the gun back?
I got the gun back next day.
It was returned, yes.
What else?
That's,
What else?
that's as far as I know.
What else was missing?
The ammo.
The ammunition for the gun.
I don't have any ammunition.
I wouldn't have a gun without ammo.
Well, go look for it. What else?
KitchenAid machine.
What is that?
A KitchenAid for mixing and making. I bought that from my mom. They took that.
That was given to us by my grandmother because she can no longer bake, or actually given to her because she bakes.
And she even, for Mother's Day, Nancy brought, her and Granny, her mother, Nancy brought me the attachment. It makes pasta for the KitchenAid for Mother's Day. So she was aware that her mother gave me, when she moved to the facility, that she gave me the
When she moved to a facility, she can't make a gift. If she's moving to a facility because she has Alzheimer's, she can't make a gift.
I have.
Now, if what you're telling me is that you did take it and that the plaintiff sort of ratified that by buying you an attachment for it for Mother's Day, that I'll ask her about. Now, Ms. Castleman, listen to me very carefully. Did you buy Miss Watson around Mother's Day a pasta attachment for the KitchenAid?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay.
For my mom. With my mom.
I don't.
Because they were supposed to be cooking together.
No. No. You bought an attachment for it, and if you buy an attachment, that was a gift, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you made the gift, you handed the gift to whom?
To Trinity.
Right. So even if your mother didn't have the mental capacity, you could have argued, to make a gift, and it was yours, you ratified the gift by buying her something that could only be utilized with that machine. So I'm not interested in the machine. Could we move forward, please? I have 7 years of postgraduate education. I'm getting very tired of this case.
Okay.
Anything else? Vet bill. Now we'll get to the vet bill. Okay. You had to go to the emergency room. When and for what, Miss Castleman?
I was having issues with my stomach. I had was diagnosed with diverticulitis and had to go
I
to
can imagine. When?
That was in June, beginning of June.
June of this year. Who took you to the emergency room?
I had to take an Uber. I couldn't drive.
Who was home?
Trinity and her
And
family.
her family. And when you went to the emergency room, where was the van?
The van was at the home.
Why didn't she take you to the emergency room?
She said she couldn't do that. She said that she was too busy and stressed out.
Is that right?
I was dealing, my children's father just passed away that day.
And I was there with
Just a second. You were separated from him. Why couldn't you take her to the emergency room?
Because my children just found out that their dad passed away.
That
So I
was
was
the day
dealing with
before.
their emotions.
Just a second. I'm just trying to figure out why you couldn't take her to the emergency room. You've been living with your mother for a while now, since she got out of jail. How many times has your mother been to the emergency room?
Quite a few.
How many?
More than 10 that I know of.
And did you take her to the emergency room since you've been home?
I
from
have
jail?
before, yes.
How many times did you take her?
2 to 3 times, at least.
When was the last time you took her?
Maybe a year ago.
And what was wrong then?
Her sciatic nerve.
Did you wait with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Good, because that's the right thing to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Excuse me a second.
Get it?
Don't write to me if you're a fly lover. I don't else. For years, I would have put my kids in the van and say we have to take Grandma to the emergency room. That would just be me. And deal with my children in the van 5 minutes later.
And I would have if I wasn't dealing with my children at the time. And she was aware of that. I think she even took a Lyft or an Uber. She let me know it was okay.
I'm just telling you. I'm trying to get some sympathy going for the two of you. I'm not getting any sympathy going for the two of you. Did she ask you to watch her dog?
No, she, like normal, I have a dog too on the property. And it was a mutual agreement that anytime one of us were gone, we would always make sure the dog went out to use the restroom. But the day her dog had an injury, I wasn't home.
Where were you?
Gymnastics competition.
It just happened at night.
When was your dog injured?
On the day that I went to the ER, I asked her before. I said, I have to go. My lift is here, and can you feed my dogs? And because they're in their trailer still, and Tamale's still in the bed, and I didn't want her jumping down. And can you take them out? I don't know when I'll be back. The Uber was there, or the Lyft was there, and I left. And when I came back home, it was about 5:30 in the morning. I noticed the dogs were in there, and that Asher was cut up. He had big old laceration.
Did you know what happened? Could you
No.
figure out what happened?
No, I think I know now that it was probably under their trailer while he was out, because she did say that she took him out, but she forgot to feed them, and she was home.
That night I was home, yeah.
Did you see her dog injured?
No.
Did you feed her dog that day?
No, I did forget to feed the dogs. I took her small dog, Tamale, off the bed, and I had them go out, and then I put them right back in, and I went back on to the house.
And you forgot to feed them?
Yes, I did.
Okay. But when you went in there, the dog was not injured?
No, he was not.
Okay. The last part of this, and then I'm actually finished. Money owed for unpaid living expenses. Anything other than what we have discussed?
They're supposed to pay rent.
Starting when?
It was supposed to initially have been in November for January of 2022, because since my mom had to go, away because she couldn't take care of her anymore, I had to do what I had to do.
You mean after she stopped watching your mother?
Mm-hmm. That's when I mostly enforced it, but there are text messages that they agreed to pay.
I'd like to see them.
Okay.
I understand, Mr. Horath and Miss Watson, that the agreement was that you would live there, paying certain expenses but not rent, as long as you, Miss Watson, and or Mr. Horath, when you were home, would take care of her mother so that she could work.
Yes.
Yes.
And that stopped at a particular point.
Yes, in May.
That stopped in May.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it does seem that there were arguments back and forth about these expenses, but never wholly an understanding that was going to happen.
Your Honor, I had several conversations with my son while he was truck driving. He didn't really talk to her particularly because I think she had a lot of influence on that. He would have done the
Whether he did or whether he did, this comes from Danny himself. He says, okay, check this out. I'll call the state inspectors for the septic room additions in the bathroom that needs permits for.
She did.
Just a second. What kind of thing is that? How many times have you been married?
2.
And how old are you?
37.
How many times have you been married?
2.
And how old are you?
28.
And that's 2 in addition to this current engagement.
No, then it would just be 1.
And you?
Just 1.
Well, then you're not married, so you've each been married once before.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want you to look at your mother. Maybe in the next couple of years, maybe, she will be here, and maybe she won't. I'm sure when you married the first time, you expected that to be forever because you made a couple of children, right?
Yes.
I hope you'll be able to see that face for a very long time, but she had another husband before you. You're only going to have one mother. And your mother was really good to you, and really good to a stranger and her children. And she didn't invite them in and say, well, I'm going to apply for some assistance because no. She worked all the time. According to you, she chose to work. She chose to work all the time instead of going to church with you. You have no idea how ridiculous that sounds. You have no idea how ridiculous it sounds to me that Miss Watson says to me, I have children. I can't work. Well, she had 2 children, yours. And she worked and had your 2 children that she had to take care of. And she's much older than Miss Watson. Do you understand? Yes. If you have a work ethic, you have a work ethic. If you don't have a work ethic, you don't have a work ethic. But right now, she took care of you since you got out of jail. That's a long time. And for you to cut her off from yourself and her grandchildren is pretty outrageous to me. But you're 37 years old and you have 4 children. Now 6, because they don't have a father anymore, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I don't know what you were doing with all your extra money, but to your mother you were paying $400 a month for a 5-bedroom house, and now you're paying $2,500 a month rent in a 3-bedroom house, and I assume that that's plus trash, Con Edison, and internet, and everything else that goes along with the house. So I don't know who's paying for that, unless you were just stashing away money. I don't know. I doubt it. I don't even want to go into it. Anyway, Miss Castleman, it's not worth it. You did the right thing with him. You took him in. You did absolutely nothing wrong. But you didn't have a contract with him, and you didn't have a contract with her. And I can't enforce giving you money when there was no enforceable contract. But if I looked up the word ungrateful in the dictionary, their pictures would be there. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I'm grateful for the things that she did say so they can understand where I'm coming from.
She has no control. She gets upset and wants to see revenge in any way she can.
Those words are not from him. I know my son.
We had a good relationship before all of this transpired.
They don't get it.
Well, I hope that we can all eventually get back to that point for the sake of the kids.
You know, I don't think that there's a legal lesson there to learn, Sarah.
I know, it's just so unfortunate because I feel for the plaintiff. As a grandmother, as a mother, you try and do the right thing, and just to feel so taken advantage of. And I didn't hear a good reason. I was waiting the whole time to hear a good reason for why she was this terrible person that they had to move away from, but it never came.
Well, the only thing that I came up with was that she agreed to let them rent the house, rent to buy.
Yes.
Because they couldn't buy the house. They didn't have sufficient funds. But there was a...
We have some half-sisters, but yes.
But you're the only two full biological sisters. Now, there came a time, Miss Mehta, that you moved into your sister's home.
Yes.
Is this a home that you own?
Yes, we built it.
In what year did you move into her home?
That would have been 2018.
Who else lives in the house from your family?
My disabled mother, my husband, and my child.
So your mother lives there.
Yes, I take care of my mom.
Tell me why you moved into your sister's basement, Miss Mehta.
In 2015, my oldest son was in a tornado and suffered a severe brain injury. So when my sister Tiffany and her husband were looking for new houses, they offered to build an apartment in their basement so that we could live with them and get out of our mobile home. So when they built this house, it was built with the intention of us living in the basement.
Is that correct?
Yes, but for a year, because I do take care of my disabled mother, and the intention was for her to be in the basement eventually so that she doesn't have to use stairs.
Was the original agreement with your sister that it would not be a permanent move, but one that would last for about a year?
It was agreed that it was not a permanent. There was not a date set, though.
Okay, but it was agreed it was not a permanent, and you
Correct.
did not have a written lease.
Yes, we
We
did.
do have a lease.
You did. I'd like to see it.
We had a month-to-month lease that I have as well. This is the current lease that subsides the other lease.
Okay, initially a month-to-month lease, and what month and year did you have her sign?
I have it right here. It's dated July 14th, 2018.
So this is a 6-month lease that ended January 31st.
Correct.
The rent was $800 a month.
Yes.
So this last lease was for your sister, her husband, and 2 children.
Correct.
I only ask that question because if my reading of your complaint was correct, you say that she moved her husband in without your consent.
So when we first agreed to let her move in 2018, she was divorcing, and the agreement was that her and her 2 sons could move into the home. He had nowhere to go, and she wanted him to move in. So because
In what year was that?
that was still 2018.
So that was still 2018.
Yeah, so we let
All right, so
we let him live there.
And since then, you'd signed different leases with her, with him on the property.
Correct.
Okay, so then you acquiesced to it. When you were in the apartment, did you have pets?
I did.
How many pets did you have?
4 dogs. But then subsequently, some had passed away, so at the end, we only had 2 dogs.
Okay, well, at the signing of this lease, you had 6 pets, consisting of cats, dogs, and no other pets being allowed.
Correct.
And you agreed, regardless of ownership of the pets, agreed to restore the property to its original condition at your expense when you leave. Okay, good, because that's also part of what this is about, actually, most of what this is about.
Your Honor, they had 3 pets upon move out. They had just gotten a puppy, so they did have 3 pets and 2 cats upon move out.
Doesn't matter. Anybody who has 6 pets, after 3 years, the carpet needs to be replaced.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now, your sister began to move out when, in what month?
She moved out on the 1st of February, 2022.
Pursuant to your agreement.
Correct.
And it is your claim that she left the premises in condition that required you to spend close to $10,000 to put it back into shape.
$6,500
Okay.
for the basement damages.
I'd like to see photographs of what it looked like because we know it was brand new when you moved in because the house was just
Those are
built.
all-
So we know that it's new.
I also have photographs that I took the day we moved out.
Okay. I'm going to give you these and then I'm going to look at yours.
Okay.
Okay, so there's no question you have to replace the carpeting.
Right.
You understand that. Did you replace the carpeting?
No, I had not had any contact from her.
Do you have a bill for the carpeting?
I replaced 1 room already, and I have that, and then I have the estimate to replace the other carpet.
Okay, I'll take a look at that. And that's the main thing that I see in the apartment that has to be done from these photographs. Okay, did you leave a lot of food in the refrigerator and all kinds of stuff in the refrigerator?
No, so what happened was the
Just
refrigerator...
the answer is either yes or no. Did you leave a whole lot of stuff in the refrigerator?
No.
Anything in the freezer?
No, there was no
And
refrigerator.
cabinets? Did you leave anything in the I'm just looking because there's a picture here of a whole bunch of food.
Right. I hadn't finised moving out.
My question,
yes, there was
my
stuff there.
question is, you were supposed to be out by February 1st. On February 1st, was there food in the house?
Yes.
Okay, and it should have been moved, whether you moved out yet or not. You were supposed to be out by February 1st. Okay, I'd like to see those. So you replaced the carpet in what room?
One of the bedrooms, so my mom could move down there so she could not use stairs.
Sarah, add these 2 figures and have them for me, please. I don't know what this is a photograph of.
So the bags that were left in the home, there was ice cream that was left in those bags, and it had leaked on my flooring, and we moved it outside, and that is the rotted food from the bags.
Okay, do you know how that happened?
I don't. I have not seen that.
Okay. May I see photographs, please, that you took on the day you moved out?
Yes.
I have that total, Judge. $4,129.
$4,121?
29
$29.
and 21 cents.
Thank you. Is this after the carpet was taken out?
Yes.
Kevin, can I please see the photographs that you took? Actually, they're pretty much the same. Not terrible. A lot of it is ordinary wear and tear, except for the carpet. So that's $4,129. The only other thing that I'm questioning is that I saw these rocks, and I want somebody to explain these rocks to me.
So because of the water level, if you go out the downstairs patio, there's rocks there to prevent the yard from sliding.
Getting wet.
So some of the rocks were moved. They're supposed to all go in a line, and they go down and over. So we have to pay a landscaper to come out and basically redo that.
Well, how did that happen? Do you know?
They're pretty heavy rocks, so...
I don't know. Do you know?
don't know.
Did you move the rocks?
No, you would need like a skid loader to move those rocks. There's no physical way to move those
Where do you live?
with one person. I live in far west, Utah, farm country.
Looks like there's water coming down through here.
Yes, we live across the street from a pond as well.
You don't know how that happens. Now, you have, in addition to your claim, which is for damage, you feel it's necessary to go into these allegations of harassment by your sister?
I honestly just want to be done with her and not get threatening text messages and stuff on social media.
No chance of a reconciliation. You
Not
lived
on my
together
end.
for a while.
I've blocked her from
For a long time.
Yeah.
Miss Mato, your sister was there at a time when you needed her.
Yes.
You think that there's any potential for the two of you to sort of restore some kind of working relationship? You're the only two.
No. This is the funeral of our
All
relationship.
right, not my job. That's a job for another professional. Okay, you have a counterclaim.
Yes.
And your counterclaim, just as she's not going into the harassment, I'm not going into anything that involves the harassment. It is your claim that you left certain furniture behind. Well, why wasn't your furniture out on the 1st? Your lease expired at the end of the month in January.
It did. And I did let them know that I was not done.
Well, that's not a reason. That's not a reason to break your contract. Only 2 people can break a contract, Ms. Mato. The 2 people are the same 2 people that signed it. You signed a contract that said you would be out on a certain date. You weren't out on a certain date. The fact that you notified her that you're changing the terms of the contract unless she agreed to it, then you should have had your stuff out by the 31st. Why didn't you?
Because she had made it very difficult during my moving process. There was a lot of, like I said, harassment and stuff that happened during that moving process. She called the police on the people that were helping me. She made it very difficult to get it done. There was no way that I could get it done on
Let's
that
get
day.
back to call the police.
And later today, after Mr. Martinez got into the picture, he was going to pay me not to talk to Sherry any longer.
So you had a discussion with him that all of her bills he was going to take care of?
Many discussions, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And?
I never got a dime.
Okay, well, what is the harassment? History?
They do.
Okay. Well, if they have any negative history, why would you have her come into the house?
Because she doesn't have any access to Tiffany at that point. There was no reason for them to talk. They wouldn't be even associating.
You know, if I knew that there were issues between my landlord and a particular person, especially if my landlord was my sister who let me move into her house, just from a question of using my brain, I wouldn't bring somebody that had been on the outs with them. If they didn't like them, that's one thing. You know, I'm really not crazy about your friend Brittany. That's one thing. But if you knew that there was an active, aggressive feeling against one or the other, should have had somebody else move. So why didn't you get your stuff out?
Well, so I didn't think that it was as serious as that. They are related.
If they're related and don't like each other, or the plaintiff doesn't like her, then that's even worse. Go ahead.
Yeah, so she was my only help. I didn't have anybody to help me at that time. So.
Then start doing it sooner. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was the
Miss
only
Mato,
reason.
Miss Mato, where was your husband?
He was working. We were working during this whole time.
Well, that's okay. I've moved and worked. I used to move every time I needed a paint job. I would pack up and move. And I constantly worked. I've worked for 58 years. So that's not a reason. You pack in the evening. You go down after work, you get newspaper from the grocery store, and you get old cartons, and you wrap up the dishes in the cartons, and you manage to get out when you're supposed to get out. And she's not the only one who can help you. Maybe your husband has friends. If he doesn't have friends, I don't know why not. In any event, that was not a smart thing for you to bring your witness. Furniture. What furniture did you leave?
I left patio set on the patio. It was all outside furniture.
Patio set. Just a second.
A lawnmower.
Okay.
Outside bench that had storage and stuff.
Yeah.
Fire pit and lawn chairs.
Okay. And when did you buy the lawn chairs?
It would have been 2018.
Okay. And how much did you pay for each one?
They were $245 for the chaise lounges and $159 for the pool dining chairs.
Okay. Are those chairs at your home?
Yes.
May I see them?
Yes. There's 4 lawn chairs. There was never the long
Okay.
chairs.
Let me see what's in the home.
I also had a cooler.
Just a second. Don't bother me about a cooler. Are the lawn chairs still there?
Yes.
Great. You can go get them.
Okay.
With a marshal, not with her. What about the fire pit?
Still there.
You can pick up the fire pit. What about the lawnmower?
Still there.
Patio set.
Still there.
They have painted that purple.
Paint it back. Where are you living now?
I have a house
Who are you living there with?
with my husband and my sister-in-law.
She's living with you? She paying, that's not an answer, yes.
Yes.
She's paying you rent?
No.
Why not?
My husband's their mother passed away, and she needed to be closer to family, so she's just living with us as family.
Okay. You're going to get all the property back that you say you left there. And you can do that within 5 days on notice to the plaintiff with a marshal. Just give him a copy of the order that will give you inside.
Okay.
With regard to the renovation of the house, she has to put the house in reasonable condition. Most of these other pictures demonstrate some wear and tear that you would have to do. Painting and plastering after 3.5 years, but the carpeting had to be replaced, $4,129. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
I'm happy with her decision. I just wanted to fix my basement and move on with my life.
I mean, it is what it is. There's nothing to do. You know, I think we were both at fault.
Go back home, fix my house, and honestly have nothing to do with her again.
If she had come and talked to me like a normal person, we could have figured this out without this.
No, I'm completely done.
I would like to not be inappropriate, but she's just not a good person.
You know, I think that the two sisters had the best of intentions. Didn't you get that feeling?
I did. From moving in and knowing you have a designated place at a time of need, that she was going to design the basement for you to live in, although not permanently, I thought it was going to go in a good direction.
And I'm sure that the plaintiff's mother, who lives with her, is sad that she doesn't get to see her other daughter probably as frequently as she would like, because they live together in the same home, evidently for a very long time.
Yeah.
Very bad. There's always collateral damage when people don't get along.
True.
Case number 2039, Mormon versus Strauss. All parties, please step forward.
Derek Mormon is suing his former friend, Sherry Strauss, for car repairs and harassment.
Mr. Mormon, the defendant was a friend of yours.
Yes, ma'am.
A casual friend, a romantic friend.
Maybe both. You know, a casual romantic friend.
How long do you know her?
14 years at least. Probably closer to 15. Yeah.
Were you ever together as a couple?
No, ma'am.
And it is your claim that because she was in financial trouble, you extended a loan to her to fix her car.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what this case is about. You also say she harassed you, but most of this case is about the loans to fix her car. Ms. Strauss says that you did, in fact, work on her car, but you caused more damage to it than it originally had, and she is counterclaiming for car repairs that she has to make because of work that you did on the car. Who is this person?
My fiance.
Okay, he's not a mechanic.
No.
And who is the woman?
She is the property manager of the motel that I'm living in.
So you don't have a mechanic to testify today to anything?
No, I do have...
The answer is no.
No, but I do have an estimate.
I don't care about an estimate. Okay, so I would like you to tell me, Miss Strauss, when did you start to have trouble with your car?
March 2nd of 2022.
And where were you living at the time?
I had just moved into the motel.
Had you been spending any time with Mr. Mormon?
Previous to that, no.
Previous to March of 2022?
That's correct.
After March of 2022, did you spend any time with Mr. Mormon?
I did, yes.
Did you stay at his home?
I went there occasionally, yes.
No, what I'm asking is, did you stay over at his home?
Yes.
Okay. And when you started to have trouble with the car in March, when you hadn't been staying at Mr. Mormon's house, did you call him and let him know you were having trouble with your car?
I did as a friend, yes.
And what did you say to him, and what did he say to you?
I just told him I dropped my son off at his taekwondo, and we were trying to leave, and my car was not working.
And what did he say to you?
That he will come in and help me.
And help you?
Yeah.
That was on March 2nd?
That was on March 2nd, yeah.
And did he come to the motel where you were staying?
No, he did not.
Well, how did he come and help you with the car?
Because my car was at my son's taekwondo, so he went there.
He came to where you were? And did he take your car someplace?
Not on that day, no.
What did he do on that day?
On that day, he took me and my son home.
So that was March 2nd? Keep going. March 2nd, March 3rd?
And then on March 3rd, we ended up having my car taken over to O'Reilly's. Well, we got a battery.
How much was it?
It was $167.
Who paid for it?
I did.
So then you were driving it again? It's not,
Yes, correct.
Okay. And when was the next time there was difficulty with the car?
Then the next time was March 7th. It died again.
So on March 7th, the car died again? And what did you do?
Then on March 7th, I called him and told him that something's wrong with my car again. Now it's not starting again.
Okay, and tell me why you called him.
Because as a good friend, like I said, we've been friends for 15 years. As it is, I don't ask anybody for help. I usually try to do everything on my own. But,
Okay, so you called him and said the car died again?
Yep, but he had made it known that he was knowledgeable about cars, so I figured that maybe he would know what was going on.
You know, well, you called him again and said, I'm having trouble. What did he do?
Then on the 7th, I had to go to work, so I had another friend take me to work. He came and picked me up from work, and we took my car back over to O'Reilly's, took the battery out, had them test it. The battery had been drained. Figured it was the alternator. Got the alternator. He put the alternator in.
Who paid for all of these repairs? That's what it's about.
I paid for them.
So what is he suing for?
Because later on, my brakes and rotors went out and I got a flat tire. So at that time, yes, I did call him and let him know.
On what date was that?
That was on April 16th of 2022.
Okay. Well, right now it's gone on the fritz on the 2nd, the 7th, and April 16th. So that's a lot of aggravation. So on April 16th fiasco with the car and the repairs, how much was that?
$234.
Who paid for that?
He said that he would pay for it. He originally told me that his mechanic would allow me to make payments. And when we went to go pick it up on April 22nd, found out that that was not the case.
Okay, so he wasn't going to allow you to make payments,
No.
which mechanics usually don't. So how much was the bill?
So the bill was $567.91.
And he paid for that because they wouldn't let you make payments?
He paid for that because he knew I was...
No, not he knew. You were originally going to pay for that and make payments.
Yeah, I was going to
Just a
make
second.
payments.
You were originally going to pay for it and make payments. You found out that you couldn't make payments, so he said, fine, I will make the full payment to the mechanic.
Yeah.
But it was always your intention to pay for the repairs of the car, only you wanted to pay for it in a slower fashion.
Right, I was going to make the payments to the mechanic, yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, did you pay him back any of the $567?
I gave him $300 to help him with rent, but...
Just a second. Tell me when you gave him $300 for rent.
I gave him the $300 on April 29th.
That was after you picked up the car. Is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Did she give you $300 for rent?
No, Your Honor, I don't need anybody to help me pay my rent.
Do you have any proof that you gave him $300 for rent? A withdrawal from a bank or anything?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Okay, so far you owe $567. Is that what you paid for her in April?
No, Your Honor, I paid $674.76.
May I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, April 18th. $674. Would you show this to Miss Strauss? Okay. Mr. Moorman?
Yes, Your Honor.
There subsequently came a time, which I think probably was a more social issue than anything else, when the defendant advised...
I have a different one that shows
Yes.
the receipt right there.
May I see it?
The $567.91.
Well, I actually am not understanding this. He paid for this with his Visa card. Is that right?
That's correct.
Could you explain this to me? This is your Visa card. This is the same invoice. One of them is for $567.91, and the one that you gave me, the same invoice number, is $674.76. Sarah, would you do me a favor, please?
Sure.
Would you add up?
From both or just the top one?
Well, let's start with just the top one, for which there is a Visa receipt. So I gather that all this became problematic when you started to see a serious boyfriend. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now, after March, you said you stayed occasionally at Mr. Moorman's. When you stayed at Mr. Moorman's, was that more of a social, was it a more intimate relationship than just social friends? This was after March, after you were in the motel.
We were kind of like friends with, benefits in a way, so
Okay.
yeah.
All right, and then you found someone new, and according to him, you advised him that you had somebody new. And now he wants the money for the car, which you were going to pay anyway. You were
Originally,
going to pay
I
it.
figured it was a friend helping a friend. I didn't
No,
know
it
it as a
wasn't.
loan.
No. It wasn't. Even you say, Miss Strauss, it was your intention to pay this bill for your car as you would pay the other bills for your car. However, when you got there, you found you couldn't make time payments. So he said, well, you need a car. I'll lay it out up front. But it was always your intention to pay for your own car. Do we have a...
That is the correct number. And then at the bottom, that totals. And then the additional to bring you to 567 is the tax.
Okay. Now, so the next part of your case is about harassment. By whom and for what?
Your Honor, after Mr. Martinez got into the picture...
That's this gentleman?
Yes, ma'am. He was a man of his word, and he was going to pay me not to talk to Sherry any longer, which I didn't.
Okay, so you had a discussion with him that all of her bills he was going to take care of?
Many discussions, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And?
I never got a dime.
Okay, well, what is the harassment?
Text messages, my witness here, Miss Montoya.
No, just a second. Okay. Text messages what?
Just saying, hey, leave her alone, which is fine.
That's all right. That's not harassment.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, fine.
But it was, hey, I'm going to pay you. I'm a man of my word.
Okay, well, you're not suing him, so who cares about that?
Yeah.
She owes you $567. That's what you put on your visa. Now, let's get to your money owed for car repairs and harassment. Okay. Now, you don't have a mechanic here, so what your claim is that whatever he did to the car, he didn't do well, so you had to take the car, or you're going to have to take the car to another mechanic. I don't care. You would plan to fix this car yourself. The problem was with payments. If you had to make additional repairs to the car, that's not his problem. Okay, now you want to tell me what the additional harassment is?
Well, that's why I have my two witnesses here. He spent a lot of time calling me names. He's called my fiance names. He showed up at my motel threatening and stuff like that. So
what did he want?
He wanted his money.
Okay.
But at one point
now he's got it. I don't need to speak to you.
No, but
now he's got his money.
When I had talked to him before, when he thought that David and I was not together anymore, he said, oh, it's not about the money. He goes, I just want you. He's got several messages from me, how he loves me, he wants to be with me, and all this and that.
Yeah, but you don't love him and you don't want to be with him, so now you have to pay him for your car repairs, $567.
Yeah.
Judgment for the plaintiff.
Well,
we're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor. This court is adjourned. Hey, justice was served, and that's all that matters.
It was about because he didn't have me. I went with somebody else, and I wasn't with him.
She was a friend, and I tried to help her out.
We've been friends for a long time, so I told him we would be, that
You felt something hit your car.
Yes. I saw the car back up into me, and then she proceeds to leave.
Because I didn't believe it.
You weren't sure you hit anything.
I did not hit anything.
This is 17-year-old Bella North and her mother, Angela North, are suing business owner Heather Olson for car damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2092, North versus Olson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss North, this is your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you have a seat, because you actually weren't involved nor a witness to the incident. Are you the owner of the car?
No, ma'am.
Okay, why don't you have a seat? Tell me your first name.
Bella.
Bella, from what I gather from reading the papers, you and the defendant's daughter were good friends.
Yes, still are.
And have been friends for a very long time. So, not a very difficult case. You were going to visit Miss Olson's daughter, Lotus.
Yep.
And according to you, you've done that innumerable times in the past. You were also 17 at the time?
Yes.
You went to visit Lotus, trying to find the date in your complaint. On April 16th of 2022.
Yes.
And when you got to the house, which you had done many, many times before, according to you, you parked behind the defendant's car.
Yes, I did.
Was the defendant in her car at the time you parked your car?
I did not see the car on when I pulled up behind it. I turned around for a moment to gather my things, to my backpack, my charger, everything. I then look up and I see the car is on. I never saw anyone. You
never saw anyone get in the car?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Now, could you tell me what kind of car were you driving?
A 2001 Honda Accord.
So a very small car?
Yes, sedan.
And you were in a large car, Miss Olson? Your car is a large car.
Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of car is it?
It's a Suburban.
Now, can you tell me why you parked behind her car? If you parked behind her car, you were blocking her in.
Yes. So I parked behind her car because Lotus has told me in the past.
You can't tell me anything that Lotus told you.
Okay. I parked behind her car so that the driveway to my left was free for people to come in and out, because I am aware that she does have residence in her home, and I was...
But that means that she couldn't get her car out if you were parked right behind her.
Correct.
Okay. Now, is there parking on the street, Mrs. Olson?
Yes, Your Honor.
May I see that? No, I don't want to. Thank you.
May I describe what is in the photo?
Well, I'm just asking you, is there on-street parking here or not?
It's not laid out, but you're allowed to park on the street. We have also additional parking next door at the neighbors. They've invited us to park.
Now, you can't tell me that they invited you. I'm just asking whether Miss North could have parked someplace else. And the answer is she could have. It's more convenient to park behind your Suburban. Now, as you turned around to gather your backpack, according to your complaint, you felt something hit your car, your 21-year-old car, right?
Yes.
Would you look up 2001 Honda? Where did you get the car from?
I got it from a small dealership in my town, Sarasota.
Who purchased it?
I did.
For how much?
$3,000.
Okay, and you felt something hit your car?
Yes.
And then you looked up, according to what I read, and you saw the backup lights on.
Yes, I looked up, saw the reverse lights on, waited, saw the car back up into me, hit my car, I honk, the car stops, the car then continues to reverse again, hitting my car, I honk, they stop, I then turn back on my car, I reverse away so she can get out, and then she proceeds to leave.
Okay. And show me what the damage was to your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Kelly's book value is $2,500 to $3,500, so right in the range.
Great. What is this? A picture of?
The 2 scratches and the dent.
Let me see the whole car.
I do not have a picture of my whole car.
Well, that's unfortunate. I see a scratch. I don't know if it's a scratch. I see some...
There's a hole towards the corner of the light. That was not there before. My whole light is...
You mean this?
Mm-hmm. Yep. See where there's a gap in the light is supposed to be collided with the bumper, and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It was hit and damaged.
Okay. Did you see her car when you came out?
No, Your Honor.
She didn't see you, so you were in the car, I assume, when she pulled up behind you. Do you understand? So she was in her car, in her driveway, when you pulled up in your car and blocked her car in. If you had seen her in the car, would you have parked behind her?
No.
So you didn't look to see whether she was in her car?
No.
And she was in her car, and her car is high. You look up, you have a big Suburban. You don't expect anybody to be stupid enough to park behind your car. You're in your car already, because clearly she didn't see you pull up because she was in her car, right? Now I'm going to ask you, because you say you don't remember hitting something or you weren't sure you hit anything. Is that your answer that I'm getting?
When my other daughter drove up, parked the vehicle, left it running, ran inside the house, I ran out, and of course checked behind me and drove out.
I asked you a question. You didn't?
I did not hit anything.
Well, you don't remember hitting anything.
Correct, Your Honor.
Yeah, because I don't think Miss North would have made up this story. You had a big car, backed out, and you drove away. Did you see her car pull off when you backed out?
No, Your Honor.
You did not?
No, Your Honor.
When she pulled out, did she go in the same direction as you did or the opposite direction?
The same direction.
Okay. Did you see her car after you pulled out?
No, Your Honor. Not until 2 hours later when we met.
Tell me what happened 2 hours later.
After returning from my appointment, I met Bella at the next door neighbors where we parked, and that's when we examined each other's vehicles.
Well, did she call you? How did you find out that there was an accusation that you had hit her car?
Because we met at the designating parking spots that we've agreed to park at.
So there was just serendipitous that you met there at the same time, or had you been in communication either with her or your daughter?
I was at a brief appointment, and when I returned home, that's where I parked. And Bella also parked there because that is where we...
Okay, so when you moved your car after the defendant, according to you, hit your car, did you park in another spot?
Yes.
Did you park in the neighbor's spot?
I did.
Okay, so that would indicate to me that you were aware that you were supposed to, or could, if there were other cars in it, park in the neighbor's spot, because otherwise I wouldn't park in a neighbor's house. So you were aware you could park there.
I'm never sure when the neighbors are home or not, and I don't feel comfortable parking at a neighbor's house.
But you did park in the neighbor's spot after this happened on April 16th. You did not pull back into Miss Olson's driveway. You pulled into the neighbor's spot.
I did.
And then you went into the house to visit Lotus, right?
Yes.
Now, Lotus didn't witness this, I assume?
No.
When you met in the neighbor's spot, did you show Miss Olson the damage?
I did. We didn't meet there. We met outside of her house as I was leaving Lotus's house and she was going in. I confronted her about it and then...
Tell me what you said when you say you confronted her. Tell me what you said to her, that's the question.
I said, are you aware that you hit something earlier? That was my car. Do you want to go check it out?
Is that the conversation that you had with her outside?
No, Your Honor.
Are you trying to tell me that it happened earlier in the year and your dogs just found the hole? They had never been out before? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I don't believe that, sir.
And her mother, Angela North, claimed business owner Heather Olson owes for car damage.
Okay, tell me what you said when you say you confronted her.
Heather knew that she...
Don't tell me what she knew. Tell me what you said to her. That's the question.
I said, are you aware that you hit something earlier? That was my car. Do you want to go check it out?
And she said?
Yes, of course.
And?
And then she did. She said, okay, the damage will probably be at least $600. And then she told me to go to an auto body shop, which I did. And she told me to get an estimate, which I did. And that was that.
Okay. Is that the conversation that you had with her outside?
No, Your Honor.
Tell me your version of the conversation that you had with her. Will you acknowledge that you met her?
Yes, when Bella and I met outside, she came at me accusing me of hitting her vehicle. Sorry.
Tell me what she said to you and you said to her.
She did say that I hit her vehicle and asked me to look at her vehicle damage. Immediately, I agreed to go look at both vehicles, and we looked at both vehicles. We both took photos of both vehicles. There was minor damage all the way around her vehicle, and I could not see any damage on mine, and I could not
Just a second. Yes. Did you look at her vehicle at that time? Why not?
We never looked at her vehicle. We only looked at mine.
Well, she drove in her vehicle.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you look at her vehicle?
It was about my vehicle. We were concerned with my damage.
It was your damage, but you were contributorily negligent.
I understand that, yeah.
Well, you'd understand that, so you'd want to look at her vehicle too. Did you ever have a conversation with her and say to her, take her to a body shop?
Yes, Your Honor, that is true.
Okay.
I said, go ahead and see if they can find any damage that could have been caused by an accident like that, because I didn't believe it, and I didn't remember ever hitting her, and I thought it would be more like $200. Bella did come back with an invoice for $600 or $700, and then that was shocking to me because I couldn't believe that there was any damage just from that. So it turned out that the body work she was going to have done was basically her entire bumper and both headlights, which is a lot.
Which is not the damage that, even assuming arguendo that you caused, she only showed me a picture of one headlight. Can I see the estimate that you have?
Do you want all three or just the one that she...
What do you want to tell me, Lotus?
I was a witness to that conversation.
Oh, I'd like to hear it.
Yes.
Stand up, move over. Are you living at home?
No longer.
When did you move out?
I would say the second week of June.
Did you have a fight with your mother about this event?
No, I did not want to get involved.
Great. Okay, tell me exactly what you heard your mother say.
She said, this is my auto parts place, and if you go there, I will pay for those damages.
Okay, do you remember that conversation?
Basically, that's correct, that I said, go to this bodywork person that I know, because I thought he'd see that's silly and turn her away.
But your daughter was making a statement. Is that the statement? Go to my body shop and I'll take care of it.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Can I see the receipt that makes it? Have a seat, please. This says customer pays $0, insurance pays $7.95. In my historical brain of information, an estimate from a body shop when they believe insurance is going to pay for it is always a little bit inflated. Did you have your car fixed?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. You agreed to pay for the damage. That's what you agreed to. I will tell you, if you had not agreed to pay for the damage, I would find the plaintiff 50% responsible for this accident. She was as negligent as you were in hitting her car, and I do believe that you hit her car. So, absent an agreement by you to pay for the damage, I would actually split this between the two of you and find the plaintiff 50% contributorily negligent. But since you agreed to pay for the damage, and you acknowledge you agreed to pay for the damage, I must rely on this bill, which is $795. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think it caused too much friction as we were never that close.
Still in shock.
Obviously, I'm still close with her daughter, so it hasn't caused too much friction.
I agreed with your judgment to give the plaintiff a little bit of money, but I'm not so sure on the contributory negligence reasoning. I agree that parking behind someone's vehicle is never ideal. But if you're going to operate a motor vehicle, you have to check your surroundings. I think that people have to be more careful when they're
People have
driving.
to be vigilant, but just because there's an accident doesn't mean it has to be always someone's fault.
Sure.
That's why they invented the doctrine of contributory negligence. I actually think it was just lazy of the plaintiff to park in a spot. She wasn't paying attention to her surroundings because she didn't see the defendant in her car. The defendant ran into her car, didn't see the little car behind. I believe that they were equally responsible. But for the agreement that the defendant made, I would not have awarded her the whole thing. I would have awarded her 50%.
Seemed like just a case of blind spots and bad timing.
Yeah, that's true.
Case 2078, Ali versus Miller. All parties please step forward.
Syed Ali is suing dog owner Abram Miller for car damage from a dog attack.
Mr. Ali, you bought yourself a Tesla.
Yes, ma'am.
A new one?
Yes.
When did you buy it?
I bought it on 6th of June.
Of this year?
Yes.
How much did you pay for it, sir?
68.
And there was a loan on the car?
There's a loan on the car here.
So you have full insurance on the car?
Yes.
What's your deductible?
Deductible is $1,000.
$1,000.
Yes.
This is what your case is about. You were going to check on a child's house of yours.
Yes, ma'am. It's my son's house. I go there every day. We bought that house for on my son's and my name. It's for my...
Oh, so it's a house that's jointly owned by you and your son?
Yes, ma'am.
But you don't live there regularly?
I don't live there.
And where does Mr. Miller live?
He lives on a different street, but his backyard and my backyard, they meet each other in the back.
How long have you owned that house?
Since 2014.
Long time.
Long.
Have you met Mr. Miller?
I met him a few times, yes.
Mr. Miller, you recall meeting Mr. Ali?
Yes, ma'am. Once.
Okay, but you met him?
Yes, ma'am.
Before June 6th?
Yes, ma'am.
And your son lives in the house. Anybody else live in the house? You live in the house. Is this a tenant in the house?
She's a tenant.
Yeah. Does your son have dogs?
No.
And does the tenant have a dog?
She does.
What kind of dog?
A Yorkie.
You have a Yorkie?
Yes.
It's a small dog.
Yes.
Yes.
So you have one Yorkie in the house. And you have 2 dogs.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind?
A pit bull breed.
Pit bull?
Yes, ma'am.
And the other?
No, both are the same.
Both are the same.
One's actually the mom and the son.
And how old are they?
The mom's 10, the son's about 8.
And you've had them for years?
Since they were born.
So June 16th, you go to check on the house.
Yes.
Tell me what you saw when you pulled up to the house.
When I went there to the house to check my mail, I saw 2 dogs.
Where did you see the 2
I saw
dogs?
them in the porch.
On your porch?
Yes.
Okay. Had you ever seen those dogs before?
No, I never saw them before.
Could you describe them for me?
They're a big size. They are black and white, and they're...
One was black and white or both black and white?
No, the one is black and white, and I have some pictures of them.
Oh, you took photos?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
you took photos of them on the porch or initially when you saw them?
After I saw them, I was walking out, then I took the picture.
Okay, may I see the photograph? Take out the photographs of your dogs. Would you say, give me both photographs, please? I see. One is black.
One is white.
And one is fawn color and white. Are these pictures of your dogs?
Those are pictures of my dogs.
At his house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now your dogs are out. You're not at his house, just your dogs.
Just the dogs.
Okay, so now I got it. So you took pictures of the dogs the day of this incident at your house.
Yes.
And these are your dogs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell me what happened with your car. Most states now exclude certain dogs from their policy. One that's right on top of the list are pit bulls. You are aware of that.
Dog owner Abram Miller owes for car damage after his dogs attacked Syed's Tesla.
Okay, tell me what happened with your car.
Then I realized that I think maybe I need to get away from them because they were very ferocious and growling. And I quietly walked away from them, go to my car, locked myself in, and I said, I need to get out. So I saw them, they were jumping all around my car and biting everything.
They were biting what?
Biting the right side of the tire, this side, and the rim and all that.
What your claim is that the dogs caused a substantial amount of damage to your car.
Right.
May I see the photographs of the damage?
Yes, ma'am.
So the car had scratches on it, I see. And what about the wheel rim? Is that, you're also showing me the scratches on the wheel rim?
Yes, they were biting all the rims and the tire, and they went into the front and bit on the bumper.
May I see that? Have you seen the pictures?
Yes, ma'am.
He sent you pictures of damage
Sent me some pictures, yes,
of the damage. Okay, so now, Mr. Miller, what Mr. Ali is saying is that your dogs, who he has pictures of, that you acknowledge are your dogs,
Yes, ma'am.
caused damage to his car that he had for a week, that he paid almost $70,000 for. The dogs were clearly outside of your control. They were out of your control because you acknowledged that the photographs of them are without collars, without leashes, nobody around them, and the photographs are taken at his house. I'd like to hear a defense.
Your Honor, there was no way for my dogs to have done the damage. My dogs are older. One of them has no teeth. We have to put water and stuff on her food just so she can eat. The other dog's teeth are filed down. Both of them are up in age. My dogs have never harmed anyone. I have 10 cars of my own in my yard, and I've never had my dogs biting any tires, any damage.
Mr. Miller.
Yes, ma'am.
That's why they call dogs dogs. They're animals.
Yes, ma'am.
Because on one dog, it looks as if the incisors are filed down a little bit. Still has teeth, but the incisors are filed down. Is what you're telling me that was a natural process, or you had them filed down?
No, ma'am. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not what?
Absolutely natural.
Absolutely natural. Okay, so the dogs still have teeth. They are smoother rather than sharp, but they still have teeth. Okay, but that's why they're dogs. You weren't there to witness this, so I have to assume that what the plaintiff tells me is true, because his evidence is consistent with that. He has photographs of your dogs outside of your control, no collar, no leash, at his house. And he said that he took those pictures on the date of the incident, and he has damage to his car. Now, if somebody has that problem, they don't want to blame the wrong person, and the dogs he's identified as causing the damage are your dogs. I'm still waiting for a defense. You mean the fact that they've never done it before you think is a defense?
No, ma'am, not.
What were they doing outside of your control?
They actually got out of my yard from a previous tenant of his dogs that dug a hole up under my gate.
Just a second. So a previous tenant of his had a dog.
I had several dogs.
Several dogs. Yes, doesn't live there anymore, dug a hole under the fence. When did that happen?
That was earlier that year.
Okay, and when did you first discover it?
I didn't realize it until after this incident.
Are you trying to tell me that it happened earlier in the year and your dogs just found the hole? They had never been out before? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I don't believe that, sir. You're responsible for his deductible. Did you have the car fixed?
No, not yet, ma'am.
Why not?
I have an estimate, and I approached him of that, and I said, let's see if we can do something about this.
Mr. Ali.
Yes, sir.
You have insurance.
Yes.
And you have insurance for this type of problem.
Yes, Judge.
And you have a $1,000 deductible.
Yes, Judge.
Did you advise your insurance company?
I wasn't, because I was trying to see what my good friend neighbor wants to do.
Do you own your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have homeowner's insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
Does the homeowner's insurance exclude your pit bulls?
Do they exclude them? I'm not sure.
Well, in what state do you live?
Florida.
In Florida. Would you look up and see what's the name of your insurance carrier?
I'm not sure, Your Honor. I just switched insurance companies.
Did you have insurance, homeowner's insurance, in June?
Yes, ma'am.
You did?
Absolutely.
Well, did you inform your insurance company that there was a problem?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because I was trying to get an understanding of what was going on.
I'm just telling you what's going on. So now you know what's going on. Your dogs caused damage to his car. Most states now exclude certain dogs from their policy. One that's right on top of the list are pit bulls. You are aware of that.
Yes, ma'am.
And either you pay a higher premium or the insurance company said we're not insuring them. You do understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now you understand that your policy exclude your pit bulls.
I don't think so. No, ma'am.
Well, I don't know, and I don't know how to find that out unless you can give me a definitive answer, Sarah. It depends upon the insurance company.
It does.
Yeah, and you don't remember your insurance company. So, Mr. Ali, he's not paying the $8,000 that it's going to take to fix your car. That's what you have insurance for, okay? But he's going to pay the deductible. You have insurance. It's a brand new car because you have a loan. So you must have insurance, which I'm sure you do.
Yes, I do.
Then if you were having a difficult time with Mr. Miller and his insurance, which I could probably understand because it may exclude his dogs from the policy, you have to advise your insurance company. And I don't understand why you didn't do that.
But I was going to see if he wants to go ahead and fix it.
Well, he's not paying $8,000 to fix it. He's going to pay the $1,000 deductible on your policy.
He was suggesting me that he could just go and get a spray paint and paint that little thing. And I didn't like that idea. And I said, let's go to Tesla and have it done by the properly from...
Absolutely, I agree with you. It's a brand new car. You should have it done by Tesla through your insurance.
That's true.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000, which covers your deductible. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Animal control said my dogs were so loving and peaceful, they showed no aggression to them.
I mean, I like to have people as good neighbors.
Even after they put the pole and the hoop around their necks, my dogs were wagging their tails.
The neighbor's dog has some damage to my car, and I want the neighbor to be up to that responsibility.
The plaintiff bought a new Tesla and has a loan on the Tesla. When you have a loan on a car, you're required by the lender to maintain insurance, both collision and liability. This is not a malicious act, it was a careless act. And I think he should use his insurance to pay for it. I think it was fair. I don't think that there was an issue of fact. Did you?
No, I didn't. I think that that was fair because you have insurance for that purpose so that you don't have to pay $8,000 out of pocket to fix damage from an accident. So he should have used it.
Should have used it.
2117, Forrest Stockton versus Manry.
Thank you, Kevin. Mr. Manry, this is your sister.
Correct.
And that is her
Fiance.
And you have a son who is 19.
Yes, Your Honor.
How many other children do you have?
I have 3 altogether.
How old?
One is almost 30, the other one is 18, and then I got the 19-year-old. It's way here.
Okay. And your son who is now 19 is the subject of this case. Who had custody of the children?
I got custody of Dakota now.
When did you get custody of the children?
When he was 18 years old.
Do you have those papers, sir?
Yes, I do.
May I see them, please? Okay, so this grants you, sir, legal and physical custody of Dakota Manry until further order of the court. So what this case is about now, and I assume from what I've read, that Dakota has certain special needs.
Yes, ma'am.
And because of his special needs, he is unemployed. Did he finish any sort of a high school?
He graduated.
He graduated from high school?
Yes.
Did he go to a special school?
He went to a regular school, but he was in special education.
And when he graduated, did he graduate when he was living with you?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what your case is about. At some point, according to you, you have a niece. And your niece wanted to have Dakota come and stay with her for a couple of days. You were, at the time, according to your answer, sort of in between residences. You were evicted from one place and going someplace else?
I was in the process of moving. I got my niece to go with me to, asked her if she'll bring me go get Dakota by my cousin's house. And she said, sure.
Okay. Dakota went to live for a few days, at least, at your niece's house.
No, not live there, no. Not live there, no, ma'am.
Well, he was there overnight.
He was over there overnight.
How many nights was he there overnight?
I think about maybe a week. I was put there.
Okay.
Or 3 days.
So he was there.
Yeah.
During that time, you, who are his aunt,
Yes, ma'am.
went to your niece's house, and you saw Dakota there.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to you, became concerned because, according to you, it looked like he hadn't showered in a week.
He was in dirty clothes. He just looked awful.
So you decided to take him to live with you.
I asked him, I said, do you want him to the house to stay, a little while, where he can eat and all that, because he looked like he hadn't ate either.
Okay. Well, this is what your case is about. You decided to take him, didn't discuss it with his father. During the time he was with you, he had some expenses. You want his father to be responsible for those expenses, and you want his father to return certain of his personal property. That's what the case is about.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First, let me deal with all things legal. I have an order here dated January 21st, 2021, which grants physical and legal custody of Dakota to his father. Do you have any subsequent order granting you custody or guardianship, is my question.
I have power of attorney.
That is not the same thing. Can I see what they have?
Power of attorney when I didn't give a permission.
Okay, this was signed by Dakota, so he's giving you legal power to act on his behalf.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Dakota, by signing this power of attorney, he's saying that I am a whole person, and I give you the right to make medical decisions for me if he can't do them. It's a general power of attorney in case he becomes unable to make decisions on his own. This is an order of custody. You have power of attorney. Power of attorney suggests to me that Dakota wants to emancipate himself from his father, wants someone else to act on his behalf. It becomes a complex question because if Dakota has special needs and if he can't act on his own, and a court has already ruled that his father should have custody of him. Either you have a power of attorney and he's emancipated, in which case his father's not responsible for any of his medical bills, or this is invalid because he can't sign a power of attorney because he doesn't have the mental capacity to understand all of the implications of this power of attorney. Now, your nephew was in special classes.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know what the nature of his disabilities are?
Fetal alcohol syndrome.
Is that his diagnosis, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
He had, according to you, after you took him from your niece's house, and you do acknowledge you took him without his father's permission.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
We was not talking, me and him.
It doesn't make any difference if you were talking or not.
I didn't have his number, and I asked Dakota, I said, text your daddy to let him know you're coming with me. Dakota said, and he showed me where he texted Michael. Now, I don't know if it was on a different Facebook page.
No, it's your responsibility to notify his guardian, who has custody, that you have taken physical custody of him.
Right.
And when did you take physical custody of him? Give me the month, day, and year.
May 20th of this year, 2022.
Now, while you had physical custody of Dakota, you indicate that he had surgery.
Yes, ma'am.
And part of what you want Mr. Manry to pay for is the ambulance bill. What kind of surgery did he have?
Brain surgery, and he had a feeding tube put in him.
Just a second. What caused you to take him to a hospital or to a doctor?
Your Honor, when he arrived at the house on the 20th, he had very bad slurred speech, and his balance was completely off. He was falling over. Your Honor, it was like he was a drunken man.
Let me go back to you for a second, sir. While Dakota was with you in the months just prior to May, did you notice Dakota having difficulty in his gait?
Not like he was explaining to me, I was going overboard.
No,
but his balance was off. Okay.
Did you inquire? Did you take him to the doctor?
I did. I took him actually right after I got him.
So you saw that balance was off a while ago?
When I noticed that he had headaches, all right, because his dream, thanks to me, was wrestling. He loves wrestling. I put him in wrestling. I talked to the promoters, and I did that for him. But when I seen every time he got body slammed, and this and that, I had to take him out of it. I got concerned because he was complaining of headaches. So I made him an appointment, and I waited for a referral. Well, when the referral came in, my kid was kidnapped.
So he never actually saw the second doctor?
No.
Okay. Do you have any records?
Well, I couldn't get the records. I tried to get them.
Once someone went wrong, my kid died doing surgery. I couldn't even be there for him. And all that. Anything could happen.
Just a second. I'm following you, sir. Now, when did you take him for this brain surgery?
I took him the first week of June. I took him to do a CAT scan, and as soon as she did that, we went to the hospital. We didn't leave the hospital. They put him in the ER, and from the ER, we went to Florence, Alabama, and then the surgeons there couldn't do it because it was so big.
What was so big?
Your Honor, they found a mass the size of a grapefruit. The first week, Dakota came to stay with us after we noticed the balance issues and the slurred speech. She took him to Dr. who diagnosed him with being severely malnutritioned. Your Honor, when he came to my house, his
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. Your Honor, sorry, my apologies. His leg was no bigger round than my wrist.
I got it. Mr. Manry, everything has to be put in perspective. You had a lot of things going on. And if Mr. Stockton's reporting to me is accurate, even though there might be some bad feeling of the way your sister and her fiance took physical custody of Dakota, you really have to be in a position to say thank you to them. Because you, for whatever reason, not for lack of trying, nobody is suggesting for lack of trying, you did try to take him to a doctor, you did see that there were things wrong with him. I understand that it's not always that easy to get the right specialist to get involved in this kind of surgery, but you really have to take a breath. And I assume it's accurate because I cannot assume that anybody would perform brain surgery on a child that was not necessary. That
why she couldn't call me?
She should, just a second. Your sister should have called you and told you that Dakota was going into the hospital to have surgery. That would have been the nice thing to do. Did you do that?
She did. She did not. She called.
I called my mother.
Well, calling your mother.
His phone was disconnected. I did not have the new number until he called me or texted me with a bunch of drama. That's when I got his number.
My kid from me. You kidnapped my son no matter what.
Mr. Manry, what I want you to do is just take a breath for a moment.
Yes, ma'am. Dakota kept texting me, he kept on video chatting me and everything, and then all of a sudden like a light switch, he changed and everything.
Dakota was only at your niece's house for a short while. You already told me that when he came to you, his gate was off. So right before he went to stay for a couple of days at your niece's house, was his speech slurring?
No, he always had a speech impairment because of the disability, but his speech was not slurred at all. That is a lie. Him having the skinny arms and all, that's all
Okay,
lie.
I'm not talking about skinny arms. I'm talking about this slurred speech. What I was saying to you, Mr. Manry, is that I don't think there are any bad guys here. I don't think that you're a bad guy. And I don't think that your sister and her fiance meant any harm when they saw a situation that they thought was dangerous. And as it turned out, they were able to get him seriously needed medical care. That doesn't mean it was all done right. But what you're asking for is to be compensated by the defendant for the cost of the ambulance bill that you incurred. Now, this power of attorney was signed by Dakota, if in fact he had capacity to sign this power of attorney. It was done 2 weeks after his first surgery. So up until that time, even if I could construe this as a valid document, his father had legal and physical custody of Dakota. And I assume that's because he had special needs and is unable to live on his own. Is your son able to live on his own?
No, he never will.
Okay, so that's what I assume as a result of this order. If you want this order changed, you have to go back to the court in Mississippi. You have to be declared his guardian.
Your Honor, we did not want to be declared his guardian. The reason the POA came about to start with, during the entire surgical...
Your Honor, can I say something?
The father was aware of it. So was the mother. The mother was actually present at most all of the appointments.
It doesn't matter. The mother doesn't have custody, legal or physical.
We were under the impression, and were told she did, that he only had a temporary custody. So she showed up to say she had to sign all the documents. She was going to do this. She was going to do this. She was going to do this.
Did she sign the documents?
She signed some. Then under social services directions, Mary was informed she should go after a power of attorney. It was discussed with both Dakota and her.
It may be. That's not a lawyer. That's bad advice. Now, just before I get to the issue of clothing, property, whatever he has that's at your house, and where it should go from here, your first stop is to go back to the court in Mississippi that issued this order and say to them, I need Dakota's law guardian. He'll be appointed a guardian for himself, independent of you, and they will interview him and they will do certain evaluations of him and determine where it is that he wants to live. But you have to do that in court. You can't do that ad hoc because you relied on his mother's statements that she had the authority to sign off on these things. She did not until this is changed. And if you want to change it, you are free to go in and try, and then Dakota will be interviewed and seen by a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and he'll have a medical evaluation and determine whether or not he is a person who actually requires guardianship. And if he requires guardianship, you can petition for that, and you'll have a trial. This is not that trial.
Yes, ma'am.
Did Dakota have Medicare?
Medicaid.
He had Medicaid.
That would pay for the ambulance ride.
Yeah, I just want to know if he had Medicaid. He did.
I did give them the Medicaid number, and they keep sending me a bill, and I called them, and they said because it's a different state, it's not covered.
It doesn't matter. Tell him to send their bills to his father. Tell him that you do not have custody or guardianship of this child. His father has custody, guardianship, and this bill is not yours.
The bill is going to Dakota. They're going after Dakota for it, because Medicaid didn't pay for it.
They may be going after Dakota for it. They will be very smart seeking payment from people who can pay them, which is his parents. Right now, you're not legally responsible to pay for his ambulance bill. The only person who might be legally responsible for it is his father, and that will be up to the ambulance company to do. It's not your responsibility at all. So discount the ambulance bill. Next to Dakota's things, you want property that he has in his father's house. So let me go back to you with regard to my statement to you 4 minutes ago. You have to have this custody order modified. You have to go back to the same court that issued a legal and physical custody order of Dakota to his father and say, we would like guardianship of him. He wants to stay with us. He's 19 years old. He will be interviewed. He'll be analyzed. And if at the end of the day you get guardianship of Dakota, then his father may or may not turn over whatever property he has. Dakota's never worked. So whatever property he has was either purchased or given to him by either his mother or his father or other relatives.
A lot of it was his mom that paid for the stuff.
I don't know that.
Bottom line is when all this falls down through yonder.
So far, Mr. Manry, you're not losing this case, so I don't know what you're agitated about. You're not losing. You're not losing. What I'm telling the plaintiffs is that if they think that they can provide a more pleasant, stable environment for Dakota, they have the right to petition for guardianship of him. Now, it would be in Dakota's best interest long-term if he were to have contact with both his mother and his father. Contact. I'm not saying live with. Mother, father, and his aunt, and his soon-to-be uncle, as soon as you make up your mind and give her a ring. It's in his best interest. He needs the largest community that he can. Okay? We're going to stop throwing barbs because that only serves to inflame already raw emotions. I want you to say, I am angry that I wasn't consulted in this massive surgery that your son had, but I'm procedural thing where you have to go. You can't sue him for the return of Dakota's things unless you have guardianship of Dakota.
Understood.
Because he already is the subject of a recent order of custody from a court. That's what you have to have. You can take that bill from the ambulance service, put it in an envelope, we'll get you the address, and that's where that goes. That's his father, who is his legal parent under this order. So send that bill to them so you don't have to worry about that bill. As far as his property is concerned, that has to go along with an order of custody or guardianship, and that's something that you should do. But, Mr. Manry, I am not making a decision with regard to his custody or not. What I'm asking you is, until a court reviews whatever orders they're going to make with regard to custody and guardianship, first, I know you may be angry, but they probably saved his life by getting him to the doctor that they did. And if they removed a massive tumor from his brain, you should say, thank you for doing that, because it was a month after he was living with you. Someone else took your son and saved his life. And for that, at least, you have to be grateful. You can be angry. You can be angry that you didn't get it done before. You can be angry that somebody else did it without consulting you. You can be angry at all of those things. But at the same time, you have to feel grateful that it was done.
There was no reason they kidnapped my son.
Okay, Mr. Manry, you keep going back to the same song. You keep going back to the same song. And what I'm saying to you is, their next stop, if Dakota wants to live with them, and he's right now over 19 years old, is to the court who issued the order to modify that order. All I'm saying to you is, I want you to say, I am angry that I wasn't consulted or didn't participate in this massive surgery that your son had. But I'm grateful that it was done, because if it wasn't done, in all probability, he wouldn't be here. You just have to think about that. What I'm telling you is, you have to love your child more than you, at this moment, dislike your sister and her fiancé, because they were able to take control of a situation and get your child fixed. So is Dakota, just for my own, is Dakota angry with his father?
He's angry that his father won't return any of his wrestling. He is correct. He is a huge wrestling fanatic.
Okay. What particularly does he want? He wants his wrestling?
He wants his wrestling belts. They have replica belts that were made. He wanted his PlayStation 4 and the wrestling game.
PlayStation 4, I'm not interested in that. He wants his wrestling belts.
Yes, ma'am.
Yana, can I show you something quick on my phone? Dakota kept texting me, he kept on video chatting me and everything, and then all of a sudden, like a light switch, it changed and everything. The boy's mind's been poisoned by Mary.
No, what I'm telling you, Mr. Manry, that's for another court and another day. When Dakota has a lawyer, you may have a lawyer to modify this custody order. Right now, he would like his wrestling belts.
Oh, I want my son to come home.
Okay, then I strongly urge you to go to the court, file a petition against them for custodial interference, or you go to court and file an application for guardianship of Dakota, which is a much more positive thing to do, and let a court that has the social work services, the psychiatric services, evaluate Dakota and figure out in whose best interests are we supposed to place faith. And I think if he is a thinking young man, and you told me that he is because he wants these things that are important to him, he should be able to have a say with whom he lives. Now, you have my ruling. Your next stop, folks, is to modify the order of the court in Mississippi that gave his father custody, physical and legal custody of him. You have to petition for guardianship. That's your next step. So, in that regard, your case is dismissed. Send the ambulance bill to his father. We're done.
Your Honor.
Yeah, I'm not hearing it, sir.
I did everything I can for my kids, and
My brother, he said nothing but lies.
when somebody takes your kid without your permission,
But, you know, that's him. I mean, that's what he does.
you don't know where they're at, and you're going crazy because you don't know where your kid's at. That's kidnapping.
I should get a thank you out of it, but he's not going to do that.
I want my son to come home to his daddy because I love him very much. That's my son.
It's about him. It's not about her. It's not about her and her brother. It's not about me and her brother.
My son, I love him. I'll do anything in the world for him.
It's about Dakota.
So you didn't listen to the defendant's counterclaim back there for emotional distress for, I believe it was $3,500. I would have given that to him. I don't think anyone was acting maliciously in this case. Like you said to the father, he should be grateful that his son is alive, and his sister took action when he might have been stumbling a little bit. But that's what that cause of action is for, when someone takes an action that was legally incorrect. And here, the plaintiffs had no legal right to take him to get that surgery. I agree that he should have had it, and it all came from a good place. However, when you take an action that causes somebody else such severe emotional distress, and I would consider taking someone else's child in for the riskiest surgery that probably exists, qualifies as causing some severe emotional distress. So I probably would have awarded him that if I was ruling.
Well, so let me give you the reason that I didn't bother to hear it. I think the aunt and her fiancé had nothing but pure motives in taking this 19-year-old, who they say appeared to be malnourished, and they say was diagnosed as being malnourished, which is possible, and it's possible that it was all related to this brain tumor that he clearly had that was impairing his stability, and he was with his father for a year while this tumor was growing. I don't think that they had malicious intent.
Neither do I.
And I think that but for their actions, this 19-year-old boy probably would be dead. If they took out the tumor that was the size of a grapefruit, I would say 6 months later or 8 months later, there's a strong probability that it would affect the optic nerve, it affect the carotid artery, and gone. So, although I could understand his annoyance, from the time they went to live with him until his surgery was a month. And I actually don't believe that this father didn't know where he was for a month, because they evidently have a living mother who they're both in touch with. He was moving around, phone disconnected. At the hospital, the mother showed up. She said, I can sign the documents. Well, you know, you're involved in major surgery for a child. Your focus is not on your brother, who did not take care of business for a year. So I'm going to leave that up to a family court judge to determine who should have custody, and I probably guarantee you that custody will remain with his aunt, because that's what Dakota wants. Father, welcome. Miss Palin, this is your former husband.
That is correct, Your Honor.
How long were you married?
18 years.
And this is your daughter?
Correct.
Is this your only child?
With Mr. Manis, it is.
Yes.
Yes.
You have other children?
One other, yes.
How old?
32.
When did you and Mr. Manis separate?
I moved out of the family home in March of 2018.
And this is your boyfriend?
Correct.
I'm going to, in broad strokes, at least try to reconcile both the complaint and the answer in this case. I assume there was a time when your daughter, whose first name is? Trisha was living with you after the separation.
We had a mutual divorce decree of 50-50.
And was that honored?
Until September 4th of 2020, Mr. Manis had brought Trisha back to my home. And while we were out of the home, he had her pack her belongings.
No, okay. Let's stop there. Trisha, how old are you?
I'm 19, Your Honor.
Okay. And right subsequent to the separation and the divorce, until September of 2020, you shared custody.
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
And then Trisha decided she would prefer to live with her father.
Correct.
For whatever reason. I don't have to go into it, because this doesn't really have to do with who she chose to live with or where she was living. It has to do with a car. Okay. So while she was living with Mr. Manis purchased a car.
Yes, ma'am.
For her use.
Correct.
In what month did you purchase a car for her use? Month and year?
Oh boy, I believe that was probably February of 2019, I believe. 18 or 19.
Well, let's figure it out.
It was about 6 months prior to the case with her. So September 4th, we had the car. It would have been probably June or July of the same year.
So you bought her a car a couple of months before she decided to come and live with you?
Correct.
Okay, I got it.
She had just obtained her driver's license.
That's okay. I'm just trying to get a timetable. right before she decided to come to live with you and not have 50-50 custody anymore, you purchased a car for her.
Correct.
And she drove that car in June or July, August?
Correct.
At your house?
At both houses.
She was allowed to go to take the car to their house?
Correct.
When she saw her mother?
Yes.
And then bring it back?
Correct.
There was a time when you took the car away from her. When was that?
Probably mid-August.
Mid-August of 2020?
Correct. Well, the threat was to take the car away because her grades were slipping. I didn't actually take the car away.
When did you take it away?
I actually never did take it away. Her mother and her mother's boyfriend decided to purchase her another car to eliminate my threat of taking away the car.
Well, I don't know if that's because, but they decided to
Correct.
purchase another car. And what did you do with the car that you had gotten for your daughter?
I sold that.
When did you sell it?
Probably a month or so after she got the other car.
And the threat was made to your daughter because you were concerned about how she was doing in school or how she was doing socially. What were the reasons?
Well, her grades were slipping. So I wanted her to concentrate more on her grades rather than...
Grades were slipping?
Correct, at school.
Did she give you any reason for that?
She was under a lot of pressure with the divorce.
So you purchased a car, Mr. Brown and Miss Palin, with the understanding, according to your complaint, that the car would remain in your name. There would be payments made on the car, and once the car was paid, it would transfer to Tricia. Well, one thing led to another. Things sort of went south. And according to what I've read in these papers, you got sort of annoyed. And the car that you had purchased was in the physical custody of Tricia, who was living with her father. And Mr. Manis caused the car to be towed and impounded, which caused you substantial expense to get the car out of impound. And he did that maliciously.
Correct.
And you want him to pay those expenses because you did, in fact, get the car out of impound, subsequently sold it. How much were the impound fees?
$1,565 and 22 cents, Your Honor.
Okay. And Mr. Manis, in defense of that, acknowledges that he towed the car, your car. He towed the car, which was at your house?
Your Honor, I had...
Where was the car?
The car at the time was at my house.
That's what I'm asking you. The car was at your house. You had it towed to impound. And you had it towed on what date, sir?
The car was impounded on September 4th.
Of what year?
2020, I believe.
And your defense for doing that...
Your Honor, he requested...
Your defense for doing that is that you were merely following Mr. Brown's instructions.
And the police officers.
You were following Mr. Brown's instructions.
Correct.
Unless you have a police officer here.
I have several police reports, Your Honor.
About what?
This isn't just about the car. There's several years of harassment.
No, I'm dealing with the car.
I understand.
Right now I'm dealing with the car.
So I have the several officers that came, instructed us to get the car removed from the property.
Well, that may be, sir. You can have the car removed from the property and ask the police to have it deposited in front of their house.
I understand.
Yeah, you chose not to do that.
May I show you his request to have the car towed? He offered a reward for the car to be towed.
Just a second. I want you to tell me where I'm wrong so far. See, what we can all do to make her as unhappy as possible. So I really don't understand two people. You did not call him or your ex-wife the day that you had the car towed to impound. It was some period of time later if the fees for impound were $1,500. Your excuse for that is you were merely following his request. His request. That's what you wrote in your answer. Is that wrong?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, so now we know that you didn't notify them when you had the car towed.
Your Honor.
Because you could have had the car towed to the local police precinct and called them and said, come pick up the car. It can't be in front of my house anymore.
Your Honor,
he was actually at my house that night.
Just a second. I didn't ask you anything. Sorry. Go ahead.
The police, when they came to our house, the car was present. They acknowledged the presence of the car.
You can't tell me what the police did, sir.
I have the reports, Your Honor.
I'd like to see I will see the report. What I'm asking you is, there are two things. If you wanted the car out of your custody and you wanted to quietly and stop the friction, send it back to the people who purchased it, you could have done that. You chose not to do that.
Your Honor, the reason I chose not to do that is because of I have several false allegations from CPS, the police. I did not choose to have any contact
with them. You don't have to have any contact with them, sir.
In order to...
You don't have to have any contact with them. Just like you paid a tow truck company to take the car to impound, you pay the tow truck company, you live in a private house or an apartment.
Private house.
You have the tow truck company drop the car off in front of their house. Now, after you had the car towed to an impound company, did you contact them in any way?
No, I didn't.
No.
I was instructed.
Did you ask the
by
police to contact them and tell them?
The police knew, yes.
I didn't ask you what the police knew. You can't tell me what the police knew. So you had the car towed on September the 4th. And when were you notified the car was an impound?
I received certified letter on September 26th, which was a Friday. It said to contact them Monday through Friday between 8 and 4.
Just a second. You received that on September 26th.
Yes.
Is that the first notice that you had that the car was impounded?
Correct. Yeah, that's...
Okay. So now the onus is upon you, Mr. Manis. I want you to prove your defense to me, and your defense was you were following Mr. Brown's instructions.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That's all I want to see.
Here you go, Your Honor.
So this says $100 reward to anyone that impounds my car. Call a tow truck and tell them to contact me.
Yes, Your
You
Honor.
know this number?
Yes.
Yes. Well, did you do that?
The tow company sent them a letter on 9/10 of 2020, and I have the proof of that also, Your Honor.
Yeah, I would like to see what you're looking at. That's not on September 4th.
No.
That's not on September 4th.
9/10, they sent it out,
Okay.
the notice.
Let's see. Well, this says that attempts were made on 9/21, 9/26, and 10/5. That's what it looks like, attempts made.
That's when they had attempted to deliver, but they did not pick it up.
So they had no notice.
They had notice.
No,
did
they
not
had
pick
no
it up.
notice.
They
They
didn't
had
pick it
no
up.
notice.
If they would have gone to their post office box, they would have had notice.
If I had taller parents, I would have been 5'7". They had no notice. Okay, $1,565. That's what you owe them. It was a malicious act.
Your Honor, this isn't just about the car.
This
There
is
are
all.
horrendous
Listen to me.
false
This is
allegations
all.
through CPS. If you would please.
Let me. You have a counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
And your counterclaim I'm going to hear. Right now, you owe Mr. Brown $1,565 because what you did was malicious. And I don't understand something. You have one child together. I assume that you don't want to make her miserable. That when she was born, you said, oh, let's see what we can do over her lifetime to make her as unhappy as possible. Let's see what we can all do to make her as unhappy as possible. So I really don't understand two people who probably in their own way love their child, but hate each other more than they love their child, which to me is absolutely bizarre. So right now, because you did a malicious thing by having their car towed and not giving them a heads up that you had the car towed to a place that was going to cost them money, you owe them $1,565. Now I'm going to hear your claim that they made false charges to CPS about you.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, can I say something?
About what?
The car.
Before you say anything, did I say anything that was inaccurate? Did your father have the car towed? The answer is he's acknowledged that. He had the car towed and put it in a place where neither your mother or her boyfriend knew where it was, resulting in their having to pay fines to get the car out. Is there anything that I said was wrong?
That is partially incorrect because I had contacted my mother in the time and asked either...
Okay, that's that I'll hear. You contacted your mother.
I did contact my mother previously, not only on normal messages, but also on messenger messages, including how I wanted either the title or my money back and that they could have the car before that. Once the Facebook post was...
All I want you to show me is that you notified either your mother or Mr. Brown that the car was impounded when you notified them.
She also did ask my best friend where it was.
All I want, that's all I want. Don't tell me what you said to your best friend who's not here. All I want to do is see where you notified your mother that the car was impounded.
So there is this one about money in my account, which was about the car.
I don't want to see anything about the car. I only want to see where you notified your mother or Mr. Brown that the car was impounded.
Okay. I don't have the text about that, but I did notify her that it was impounded.
Well, I don't know that, and it seems to me you weren't talking to your mother on a regular basis because there was a lot of acrimony. If you have it, you have it. If you don't have it, you don't have it. So, Tricia, you can sit down. This report was in September of 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's been several years of these reports and just disgusting allegations.
So you filed or you made allegations to Child Protective Services?
CPS actually contacted me, Your Honor. regarding several calls that they had received for the welfare of my daughter, Trisha.
In what year?
I was contacted, I believe it was 2019, and again in 2020.
They contacted you?
Correct.
For what?
To do an interview because of a claim that was made regarding Trisha's safety.
That were made by an anonymous source?
I don't know who made them, Your Honor. In Minnesota, you can't make multiple reports by one person. I cannot call day after day to make reports.
I'm just asking you, did you at some point claim that you had reason to believe that your daughter was being in some way physically abused by her father? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes, to a point.
Yeah, okay. And part of that involved a sexual abuse.
That one was not claimed by me. I did state to CPS that he does have her sleep in his bed with him.
Well, I have to tell you something.
Which is a little weird.
I have to tell you something. That doesn't seem a little weird. It seems a lot weird that your daughter acknowledged, sir.
Your Honor?
Your daughter. What I'm telling you is, it is inappropriate for a man to sleep in the same bed as his 15-year-old daughter.
Your Honor,
that's
we went
my
to a
view.
concert.
And if that's true, there may be a reasonable explanation for it. She said she was scared, whatever, but when interviewed, that's what it says in here. But I'm telling you, as a mother and a grandmother, in my view, and I'm not a professional psychiatrist or psychologist, but it is inappropriate for a teenager to sleep in the same bed with her father. Period. Maybe some countries it's appropriate, but
Your Honor, we went to a concert.
What?
And shared a hotel room.
No, that's not what your daughter said. No. That's not what your daughter said, sir.
May I finish?
Yes.
When she was going through all the stuff with the divorce and everything, she came into my room. I was asleep. She laid next to me. I'm asleep.
Listen to me. I'm not suggesting
Your Honor,
that
there's
anything
nothing
inappropriate. Sir,
absolutely.
Understand this. I'm not suggesting that any inappropriate actions happen between you and your daughter. I'm telling you that it is inappropriate. The act of sharing a bed with a teenage female child as a father would give me cause to pause. I would say, you know what? That's not a good idea. It's sweetheart, it's especially not a good idea when parents seem to be feuding. It's grist for the mill. You may want to go and, if she's scared, say, sweetheart, I'll go and sit in a chair in your room.
Many times.
In your room.
Many
times. But please, this is inappropriate. Do you understand? It's inappropriate.
Did you read the detective's statements in there?
No, I'm not interested in the detective statements.
Obviously.
If what your daughter says is true as a result of the investigation, then there was reason for somebody to suggest to CPS to do an investigation. So, listen, bottom line, I can't tell the two of you to stop feuding. I can't. You either hate each other more than you love your daughter. That's the answer. And this court can't fix that. All I can do is fix $1,565, which is what you owe them for impound fees. This case is over. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I think the judge is wrong.
I am thankful for the judge.
She didn't read all the evidence. Multiple pages weren't read.
He's very good at manipulating others.
Multiple accusations.
And being the person that, pity me, feel sorry for me.
False allegations to the CPS.
My ex-husband decided that he would show me.
No, he's trying to get my daughter her money back or the title to her car.
He actually had the car as of August 24th. Then he brought her to the house and moved her out on September 4th. And that's when it just started going downhill.
She has a lot of hatred.
I believe he's very angry that I divorced him.
That she falls off a bridge.
And he lost the control over me that he had while we were married.
You know, Sarah, I've been doing these family cases for very, very, probably 40 plus years. And it always makes me sad that the adults, the mother, the father, even the new boyfriend, there is a window in life when you feel relatively healthy, nothing hurts you, you don't have a bad back, you don't have to worry about indigestion, you can walk around without a walker, you look pretty reasonable, and that you will take years away from that good time to create negativity around not only yourself, but the people that you love.
I think that's great advice.
I always said to people, both men and women, that, it's one journey. You can take that journey and put as much positive energy into it.
Yeah, I just felt bad for the daughter. I mean, I know she's grown now, 19, but still 19, it still hurts your feelings to hear and see that your parents hate each other more than they care and love about you.
Well, maybe that statement
will make a difference. You never know.
Make a difference, because I'm sure it's not true.
Yeah.
I have a feeling.
But when it's said to you, in a court in front of your child. Hopefully they take some action on it then.
Well, hopefully they'll say, boing, she has a new boyfriend, and he's got his daughter who's living with him. They should be happy.
Yeah.
And they're divorced.
Close the book.
Close the book.
Yeah.
Her mother and her boyfriend should get a puppy together. Well, they should not until they get married. Not until they. But do something. This is a grown young woman.
As well as transitional housing programs.
When did you start transitional housing from group homes?
I started that when I was 17. That was in 2021, where I was roommates with Freya, and we lived there.
Okay, and could you describe the facility where you were living?
We were living in Tustin, an apartment complex where they rent out the rooms, and they have foster kids go in there, and then they pay. Well, they don't pay rent, but it's a transitional program to move up to the extended foster care transitional housing program for after you're 18. So it's better to be placed into this one, so it helps foundation towards the next one.
Towards total independence?
Yes.
And how long did you stay in that facility, until when?
Like a few months after I turned 18, I got into the Costa Mesa transitional housing.
Okay, from Costa Mesa, do you go into any other facility through the foster care system, or are you then supposed to get a job and get on your own 2 feet?
So this program, the independent living program, it's really hard for foster kids to get into. You have to be set up with all the requirements, and so...
What kind of requirements? Are there academic requirements?
Yeah, academic requirements, working, going to school, meeting with the manager that comes in every week. Yes.
Were you going to school?
Yes.
What school were you going to?
Golden West College.
Are you still going to school?
Yes, I currently am taking a break from this semester, but I'm still going to continue it.
Are you working?
Yes.
And you're living on your own?
I'm renting a room out in Irvine with 2 different roommates.
And Ms. Brown, what about you? How long have you been in the foster care system, and how old are you now?
I've been in the foster care system since I was 13 years old. I am currently 19.
Tell me where you're living.
Right now, I live in a rented room in a house also in Irvine.
Tell me what you're doing.
Right now I work in sales. I'm a sales associate.
Is it a full-time job?
It's part-time. I'm also in school. I go to Fullerton College, and I'm a biology major.
Interesting. Are you good in science?
I really liked science in high school, so yeah.
Well, you seem like 2 absolutely delightful ladies. I don't know why you got into this kerfuffle, but each one of you claimed that you were assaulted by the other. You claim that Ms. Brown caused vandalism to your car. Ms. Brown says that you had her falsely arrested after this altercation, which seems to be an unhappy event over a guy.
Over a guy.
I mean, they're necessary evils, but over a guy. 2 lovely girls who probably weathered a lot of storms in your life to keep together that most 15, 16-year-olds don't have to do. How could 2 nice girls get into a kerfuffle over a guy?
I have no idea.
Go!
Okay, so on September 2nd, near 10 p.m., I was cooking us dinner, and Freya's sitting at the counter, and then while I'm cooking dinner, I get a call from my ex, and he's just...
From your ex-boyfriend, not ex-husband.
Oh, yes.
From your ex-boyfriend?
Yes.
Okay. And his name is, what's his first name?
I would prefer...
Let's call him Cat.
Cat, yeah. So
you get a call from Cat. Do you know Cat?
Personally, no, I do not know him.
Have you ever met him?
No, I have not.
Okay. So now you get a call from Cat. And how long has he been your ex-boyfriend?
Well, we just had a situationship, like it was just off and on, but he just called me and I just had him on the phone as speaker, and...
So you had him on speakerphone, you're cooking her dinner, she's sitting at the counter.
Yeah, and he starts making flirtatious comments, like saying if I had any cute friends near around, and I know it doesn't sound right, but...
It doesn't sound good, Miss Burke.
Yeah, but that's just like, I know him, and that's like a different story, but regardless, then
So what was he... I want to know what he was saying.
Well,
you have to tell her, because she probably remembers what he was saying.
I do.
So if you don't remember, I'll ask her. What did he say?
He asked in general if I had any cute friends near me, or any around. Just saying if there was any cute friends near me. So that he...
Okay, so your ex-boyfriend calls you and asks you if you have any cute friends around.
Yes.
And you didn't just hang up on him.
Well, yes. I told him, I said that I can't, see him tonight and that he shouldn't be saying that. But the call ended because he had to go, because he had to go back to work. So it ended quick.
Wait just a second. He must have said something that annoyed her.
That was it. He just asked
What did he say? Okay. You don't remember. What did he say?
He called her. They were talking for a minute, and then
she was saying, oh, I miss you, this and that. And he was like, can I come over? At which point she told him, oh, I'm with my 2 friends. And he was like, oh, what do they look like? Are they cute? How old are they? Which I thought was disrespectful to me and also disrespectful to her. I was trying to be a good friend. I informed her of it. And
No, so he was acting like a guy.
Yeah.
Yes. Think before you talk. There's no filter here. So he said, oh, really? You can't come over? You have 2 friends? Are they cute? Are they nice looking? And just to tell you, Miss Brown, I don't think it was disrespectful. I just think it's a stupid remark.
No,
do you understand?
I understand,
It's
but
just stupid.
the tone and then the content, because it was on speaker, like I could hear everything.
So when he hung up, what did you say to her?
After they hung up, I didn't say anything to her. She said to me, she was like, you don't know him, like we're in love.
And you said to her?
Basically saying I don't know him. So I was like, yes, you're completely right, I don't know him, but I don't want to hang out with him, basically is what I told her.
Well, was he coming over?
No, I was just telling her.
Okay. And what's your version? After he hung up, let me hear your version of what she said.
Okay, so after I hung up, it was just practically some of what she said, but it was more in an aggressive way and with a lot of attitude. And
show me.
I get done with the phone and I'm cooking, and then she wants to humble under her breath and say I don't know, just rude things about the call and just looking at me weird. And I'm like, what's the problem? And I was
okay. So she's looking at you weird, and you say, what's the problem? And she says,
I don't know. She was going off and about, and then she started throwing trash on my counter and then threw it at me.
Your Honor.
Yeah, you did.
That is not true.
Now, I have to tell you something. So far, it makes sense. But then I don't want you to tell me she just went from nothing disrespect to throwing food around the counter. That didn't happen.
That did not.
Okay, so before she started throwing the trash on my counter, she was saying how that I had attitude, but I was telling her that I didn't have attitude. I was trying to de-escate the situation.
She had attitude. So far, we're not attitude. So far, she's mumbling.
No, that's what
you said
she
under
said.
her breath.
Yeah, and then so she, I don't know, she like I said, it was a snap of a finger. I'd never seen her switch like that. And, I was confused. And then after she threw the trash, I told her to grab your stuff and get out of my house. And so I gave her time. She went in my room, grabbed her stuff. I waited by the door. I had it wide open. And she's just cursing and yelling and just I didn't want her in my house. And if I would have known she was like that.
No, let's not. Don't go down any tributaries. When you got out to the car, she had a brick in her hand. Was there any damage to the car?
Yes, I have photos, proof to the left driver's side.
That probably makes sense as you got into an argument. You said to her, he's really not that way. He's really a nice guy, and I love him. And she said, well, somebody who really loves you doesn't say, I want to come over and hang out with your 2 good-looking friends. That could escalate into something that's angry.
Your Honor. Well, the thing is, when she did mention those things, they weren't calm as you expressed. They weren't. They were very aggressive.
They could have been aggressive, but they could have been aggressive.
I didn't see the reason why it should have been that way at all.
Listen, I'm not saying I agree with you or not. But I'm saying that common sense dictates to me that if you're on the phone with somebody that you still like, and that you're an on again, off again, and you can't come over today because I have 2 friends here. Oh, really? You have 2 friends? Maybe I'll come over and hang out with your 2 friends. She found that disrespectful. I actually find it disrespectful to you and disrespectful to him. You really have nothing to do with it, Miss Brown. Somebody else was being a schlemiel.
No, I mean, I wasn't saying
Okay. Yeah. All right, so now you tell her to get out, open her things. She's out the door, and?
Well, no, she's not out the door yet. So then I have the door wide open. She comes, and then we're still, argumenting, and I'm trying to get her out of my house. She pushes me, and then I go back into... Yes, it is. I go back into the door, and then she starts hitting on my arm, hitting me, so I'm, defending back. And it was just crazy. I didn't realize I had the door wide open for her to get out, peacefully. And
okay, so she pushes you, she puts her hands on you, you put your hands on her, pushing. And up until that point, there's a lot of maybe pushing, touching the arms, touching the hand, but nobody is injured. Is that a fair statement, standing at the door?
Well, I got assaulted because I have the pictures to show that my nail came off.
No, I'm asking you a question.
Yes.
Up until that time, did your nail come off during that time?
Yes.
Was it a real nail or a fake nail?
Both of my nails came off.
On the same finger, you had a fake nail over your real nail.
And it both ripped off.
Okay, I'll take a look. Okay, I see a black and blue mark here that's under here.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
And this is on your hand.
Yes.
What was this?
From blocking her hitting me.
What was she hitting you with?
Just her hands. Like she was just like a cat fight. Like she just went crazy, and so I was fending her out, trying to get her out of my house.
Okay. Did you respond to her hitting you?
Yes.
Yes. Do you have any photographs?
Yes, I do have.
I'd like to take a look. So I see a scratch above your eye and a little bruise on this part of your hand. Is that what it is?
Yes, on my wrist.
And then there's a bruise on, is it this part of your elbow?
My elbow, yes.
Okay, so now you're arguing with each other. You both get banged up a little bit. Now she's outside.
Yes.
And what did you do? You finally got her out the front door.
So after a few minutes, she called me and said, "Warning, I'm at your car." So when I heard that, I called the cops immediately, and I asked them to come down because I think she's going to be vandalizing my car or God knows what. And then so when that happened, me and my witness, Jasmine, we walked down out of my house because I wanted to go see, like, if my car, like, what was going on. And so as I'm walking out, my car's parked over here. Freya's over here. And so when I'm walking out, then I meet her right here, and she has a brick in her hand. And yeah, she had a brick in her hand the whole time until the cops came, and then they arrested her, and they asked me if I wanted to file for assault and vandalization, and I said yes.
Okay, and when you got out to the car, she had a brick in her hand. Was there any damage to the car?
Yes, I have photos, proof to the left driver's side, and there's a video as well of the neighbor's Ring camera showing her vandalizing my car.
Yeah,
oh,
let
sorry.
me see the damage, and then I'll see the video.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'll see the video.
Okay.
Okie dokie. That's where you were arrested, Miss Brown?
Yes.
Have you ever seen that video before?
I have not.
You have not?
No.
Okay. Can I see the estimates to the damage to your
ma'am.
car? Tell me when you bought this car.
I bought this car on August 1st in 2022. It was my first car. I paid for it full, all by myself.
You paid for it in cash?
Oh, yes, and a check.
Okay. How long had you been saving for the car?
Oh, I've been saving for it for years. Like a few years, ever since I've been working.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid a total of, I believe, $7,300 and something dollars.
I didn't see that when you were out there by yourself picking up a brick, right?
Yes.
And that was a long video. I don't see her in that video at all. I just see you picking up the brick, not doing enough damage, picking it up, doing a little more damage, picking it up, going to another side of the car, picking it up, going to the front of the car. I don't see her there threatening you.
She didn't threaten me at that point.
Right. Clearly, when you left the house, that ugly confrontation had been de-escalated.
It had not, actually.
Of course it was, because you were out there by yourself. You could have gone. And if it was an ugly confrontation, you go to the police station and you say, I left my license in my friend's car. We had a fight. Could you come back with me on a standby and get my license instead of using a brick to bash in her car?
My circumstances were different from Autumn's. I would like to inform you of that.
What were your different circumstances?
Well, I was supposed to be moving in 3 days, which Autumn was aware of. So had I called the police and been like, oh, I need this help, then I would have jeopardized my house.
Oh, no, that's not true. Sorry about that, Miss Brown. If you called the police and merely said to them, I don't want to have an argument with her, that would not have jeopardized your getting into housing. Having this fight and vandalizing her car, that could prevent you from getting into housing. I'm just telling you, calling the police is not an issue. Going outside and for a period of probably at least 60 seconds and moving from different parts of her car and hitting it with a brick and bending down and picking up the brick again, that would prevent you from getting into housing.
I wasn't referring to the calling the police, I meant the fighting.
Oh, I'm talking about the fight. $37.75, that's the cost of fixing the car. Now, the only other issue that you have on your counterclaim is for being falsely arrested.
Yes.
I would arrest you for that. You should be. Listen, if I came out of my house and found somebody bashing my property, I don't care if we had a long-standing feud. Well, I have a long-standing feud with her. We had an argument. We had a fight. Whatever. That is not the natural progression of having an altercation with an old friend, going out and vandalizing her car. So your countersuit for being falsely arrested is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,775.
Your Honor, I'm going to be rightfully for losing my housing during that process because of that incident, because of the transitional housing program I was in. I got kicked out of it, and so I had 30 days. So I believe I should be getting for that as well because
Where's the head of the Department of Social Services to testify before me that the reason you lost your housing, if in fact you did lose your housing, was because of this vandalism? You have a witness here to tell me that?
I have the 30 days notice, if that counts.
May?
Yes.
I'll take a look.
Oh, here it is.
This says, letters to give you written 30-day notice to move out of the transitional housing program. You were involved in a verbal physical altercation which involved a weapon with another individual and resulted in the police being called on September 1st, 2022. When you entered the program, you were informed and signed paperwork agreeing to our program rules and expectations. Who was it alleged that had the weapon?
She had a knife.
I bought it in self-defense. I dropped it right when I saw you.
Just a second.
No, you didn't. Yeah, I
Just
did.
a second. No, but just a second. She says the weapon was a knife.
It was.
And the knife was being held by you.
Yes,
So you took... No, she said not in self-defense anymore, madam. It's not self-defense. She's out. She's away from you. Your choice is to call the police and wait. Your choice is not to pick up a knife, because so far, this altercation has been a lot of tussling between girls that shouldn't have happened, but so far nothing involved a weapon. So you went outside with a knife. And according to the rules, you can't do that. And that was the reason that you lost your housing, because there's no other reason. It said it involved a weapon, and they listed the rules: drugs, alcohol, assault, danger, making threats. Well, you have a knife, that's threats, whatever. 3775, fix your car. You're not allowed to do that to her car. That's a hissy fit. Figure out how to do it. Your counterclaim's dismissed. You should have been arrested for vandalism. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
Well, I was in shock. I was like, wow, like over no reason, over my ex calling me, like, come on, like, we're adults now. I'm gonna move on with my life and just go up from here, not down here, where other people like to take me down to their level. I'm super thankful to have her handle my case today. She is a queen.
You know what I was really impressed with both of those girls, Sarah? You know, I know the foster care system, usually wherever it is, can be a brutal system to negotiate. And these two young women, at least on the surface, appear to have negotiated it in an orderly, reasonable way. I mean, she's living on her own. She evidently worked for a very long time because she saved up and bought her own car. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
And to even be able to figure out the system, which even as lawyers, sometimes we have a difficult time navigating things in the foster care system, to figure out this transitional program that better sets you up for the next step, that sets you up better for the next step. I respected that she took the time to figure out their best possible options for navigating the system that they were placed in.
Both working.
Yes.
Both going to school to try to get themselves into a better circumstance. The defendant certainly is a biology major, which is fascinating.
Not our thing.
Not our thing.
Great for her.
But clearly, bright young women who made it to a place at age 19 that's really terrific.
Yeah.
And supportive of each other, because one had a license, one didn't, so they were supporting each other. All very lovely. And get into a kerfuffle over nothing.
It shows just how fast all that work and all that preparation for the next step and for the housing can just
unravel. Really sad. That's sad. But they seem like this has to do with sports.
Yes. I put the money to the team. He runs the team. It wasn't just, I'm going to give you the money and you go do with it what you want.
I wasn't paid anything.
I fronted the money for the uniforms.
I didn't go to 7 years postgraduate school to discuss a pair of socks. I don't care.
This is boys basketball team.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2167, Gabriel versus Senior.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Gabriel, it's always exciting for me when I find a case that I can't relate to based upon my own personal experience. And this has to do with sports.
Yes.
And those people who know me know that I'm really a non-functioning American when it comes to sports. I understand baseball, but nothing else. However, I have a little bit of experience with people. So you have a son, that would be you. Could you stand up for a moment? Who's tall, now you can sit down, and who likes to play basketball.
Yes, Your Honor.
And he's been playing basketball for a long time. Well, most sports stopped at the start of the pandemic. And he was playing for a team.
Yes, Your Honor.
I know that I'm going to get fuzzy on this eventually. So far, I'm holding up okay. So he was playing for the team. The team closed down, as did most other things. And the pandemic is sort of winding down, and sports are coming back. And you wanted your son to play basketball because this is your senior year in high school?
No, I'm a freshman in college, Your Honor.
Last year, so this happened last year?
Yes, I was a senior.
So this happened last year when he was a senior in high school, and you wanted him to play because he enjoyed it and because you thought somebody would find him? A scout?
Mostly the enjoyment, but there's always a chance for the scout.
Okay, and you know, you're his father, and fathers always think that their sons are uber talented and maybe can be one of those quiet self-starters who turns out to be the hero on the basketball court. I have a grandson who plays baseball, and he plays baseball pretty well. Plays in college. His father follows him around from one game to another like it was a full-time job.
I can relate to that.
It is.
Well, your son wanted to play. There was no team. The defendant was a basketball coach who you knew.
Yes, Your Honor.
Whose team was also the teams that he coached were also defunct because of COVID. So far correct, Mr. Senior?
Yes, ma'am.
So at some point you approached him and said, I'd love to start up this team again because I would like my son to play ball. He wants to play ball, and nobody else is doing it that I know of. What would it take to restart a team that could be part of a league or play other teams? You know.
Yeah, you're right.
You know.
Yeah.
Is that close?
Yeah.
You're close.
You're close.
Yes.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. So you talked about an amount, and Mr. Senior said I could start the team up for $8,500.
Yes, ma'am.
You, who wanted desperately for your son to play ball his senior year, said, I'm going to give you the money. You gave him $8,500. So far correct?
$8,200.
It's $8,500, Your Honor. I have the check right here if you'd like it.
Okay. If you have the check, cash it, so it's $8,500. The team only played one game or one tournament?
No, it was actually four tournaments in total for that season that we played.
And how many are you supposed to play?
We had planned on 6 in total. 1 would be out of state or far away.
No. How many games were supposed to be played by your son's team being coached by the defendant?
So a tournament could have 3 games. So, and that takes over the course of a weekend, a Saturday and a Sunday.
So
a tournament could be 3 games.
Tournament is 3 games.
Could be 4 as well if you're successful.
Okay, so you were supposed to have 4 tournaments?
We were supposed to have 6 tournaments, and we did have 4.
Okay, so you played most of the games?
Yes.
And then the team was disbanded?
Yes.
For whatever reason, may or may not be relevant. So how much money do you want back? You're suing him for $4,800.
Right.
Well, you know, math is my second non-strong suit.
Yep.
But if you paid him $85 and you played 2/3 or 3/4 of the games that you were supposed to play, why do you think you would be entitled to $4,800 back?
Because I also fronted the money for the uniforms.
Well, that was spent.
And the graphics.
Well, that was
in addition to the $8,500.
I understand that, but that was all spent. The uniforms, the players got. Right? And they kept them?
The players kept some, and the defendant has the rest of them.
Okay, do you want them back?
I do not.
Well, he'll give them to you back if you want them, because he's not using them.
How do I know that this is his team, his organization? It's a non-for-profit company.
Okay, let's deal with this slowly. We're dealing with the math first. Do you have, Mr. Senior, do you have any of the uniforms?
No, ma'am, I never collected the uniforms.
Did you have?
Possession.
What?
He had sole possession of the uniforms.
So you don't have any uniforms?
No, he's the one that handed them out.
Okay. Did any of the players give them back to you?
No, none of them gave
So
them.
you don't have any uniforms? He doesn't have any uniforms?
Okay. But Your Honor, it didn't cost $85 to run the team, that's my...
Just a sec. Not what we're talking about, sir. Your $8,500 went to have 6 tournaments. You had 4 tournaments, right?
Yes.
Whether or not you get your money back is a whole other thing. But the uniforms were purchased. That you don't get back. The advertising graphics were done. That you don't get back. Whether it's a 4 or a 6.
That was his team's name on it.
Doesn't matter. What difference does it make?
Majority did not pay.
Do you have anything that requires that they pay in a contract?
That would be Coach Larry that he does, and he passed out those to the kids.
No, he didn't put in $8,500. You did.
Blames his former friend, Lawrence Sr. owes him money after they started a boys' basketball team.
Now, can you tell me why the tournaments were cut short, sir?
There was a number of reasons, Your Honor. One of them was right from the start, both me and my other son tried to discourage Mr. Giamni about forming a team of that age group.
Okay, I don't want to get back into that, sir. You took his money, you played 4 out of the 6 tournaments. How much were you paid to coach out of this $8,500?
I wasn't paid anything.
Did you?
It's more of an administrative cost.
What administrative costs?
Scheduling tournaments, gyms, gas, transporting kids that didn't have rides. More than half the team was not supported by their family. At least one kid was.
Well, was there an accounting that you asked for, sir?
Yes, that's what's my initial response to Coach Larry was, yes, he told me $8,500 to start the team.
No, I'm asking you an accounting at the end of the day.
I asked him where the money went. Like, could he account for $8,500 in addition to $1,600 that other kids paid to play? That's how I was going to get my money back. It wasn't just, I'm going to give you the money and you go do with it what you want. He told me it was $8,500 to start the team, and I would get my money back.
Oh, from what source?
The kids pay to join the team.
Okay. How many people were on the team?
We had as many as 14, maybe 16 come through.
To tryouts. They didn't play. I'm sorry. How you doing, Your Honor?
How am I doing? I've been better. You're his son?
Yeah, I actually run the program with him. Yes.
Okay, good. So how many young men were playing basketball?
On the team that you're talking about that's in question, I believe there was as many as 10 to 12 that actually came. The numbers vary because we're talking about 18-year-old children that come and go as they please. They don't really want to be
18-year-olds are maybe children to their parents. They're not 18-year-old children.
When it comes to this, then
well,
responsibility part, yeah. I don't know. I'm old, I guess. They're children to me still. Sorry.
What I want to know is, did you have a contract with him? A written contract?
I did not.
You just said, here's your $8,500 and I'll get my money back when the kids sign up and pay their dues. How much do they pay each to join the team?
Coach Larry set that number at $600 per player.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Can we tell you where that number comes from? Over the years, because we've been doing this for over 20 years, the average cost to run a team for a full season, we averaged it out to be about $600 per kid, because on a 10 to 12 man roster, 10 being the least you should have.
How does he make money?
We don't make money, I'm sorry. We don't make
so
money.
You don't make any money, you just do this for the love of the sport.
He grew up in a basketball family, he's played basketball his life. I have, I've been in a sports family, my brother has, and we just love sports.
So this is not a money-making operation?
Not at all. We probably put in more money than we've made or put out in the program. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, sir.
Your Honor, I coach high school football. Actually, his son goes to the school I coach. So I was aware of him, and I also coach baseball. So I just don't, you're not going to make any money coaching youth sports if that's what everybody's saying.
Well, I'm just asking you.
No, I know that.
I'm just asking you, because there is a suggestion here that some of that money was to pay you as coach. And I just want to know whether that is in fact correct, whether any of this $8,500 went to you.
Not directly, no. Talking about gas.
Indirectly to pay for gas and pick up
maybe
that.
Car repair. I only had one car at the time.
Okay.
So,
Mr.
me and my wife were retired.
Mr. Gabriel, can you tell me if you have, since you have no written contract, you have no written contract requiring anything, you're supposed to start up a basketball team, which he did. I assume you played, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you played in 4 out of 6 tournaments. Stand up next to your dad. Did you play successfully?
I only played 3 out of the 4 tournaments.
That's reasonable. Is that
successful.
normal? That members, I don't even know how many people are on the basketball court at a time.
5 at a time.
What?
5 at each team at a time, so
5
10 total. Yes.
Well, if you had 10 to 12 kids, you were what? What are you laughing at? I don't know.
I tried to expose it to you before this case. I tried to put it on TV. I played the Lakers.
So if I go back up to 2019, we met Coach Larry in 2019. I didn't just pick him out of the blue now.
I didn't suggest that you picked him out of the
So
blue.
my son
Mr.
played for
Gabriel.
him in the past.
Gabriel, you don't look like the man that would give some stranger $8,500 to start up a team, not knowing him.
Correct.
Okay, I accept that. I just don't understand that are you a business person?
I am.
What kind of business are you in?
I'm a contractor.
Well, if you're a contractor.
Yes.
That I know. You have contracts.
Absolutely.
A contractor has contracts. And the contract that you do, you build homes or you build...
I remodel homes, yes.
Okay. So the contracts that you do, lay out with specificity what you're going to do, what the materials cost are, what the VIG is on it, within a certain amount of play. But it lays out everything that you're going to do. You're turning over $8,500 to the defendant, and there is nothing in there that suggests that with any specificity what he has to do to comply. He had to start a team, which he did, right? Had to start a team, which he did, where your son played.
Yes.
Which he did. There were supposedly 6 tournaments, out of which 4 were successfully played, and your son played in 3 of them, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you should have been happy. Somebody got a chance to see him. Did anybody give you a basketball scholarship?
I do play Division III basketball in Brooklyn.
Good for you. There you go. Did somebody find you at one of these games?
No.
How were you recruited?
I did multiple showcases, and I won in Connecticut in particular.
He's a good player, huh?
He's a good player.
And so I was found through showcases that I did by my own.
Okay. But you played. And there was good practice. It was good.
Yes.
I don't know why it was disbanded after 4 tournaments. Do you? Do you?
Yes. There was multiple players who did not want to play anymore because they were verbally abused by the coach, and they just were fed up. And then there was other players that were let play for free, and people just thought that was unfair.
What do you mean with not play for free? What does it? Explain that to me.
That they were just let on the team without paying.
Oh, so some people were disturbed that some people paid to play and some didn't.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have anything that requires that they pay in a contract?
That would be Coach Larry, that he does, and he passed out those to the kids.
No, I'm asking you for your... He didn't put in $8,500, you did. Here it says, use some fees to catch up on my mortgage. I assume that's your home mortgage.
Correct, after the season was over.
Well, you can't do that. You can't do that, sir. Do you understand?
Is accusing his former friend, Lawrence Sr., of owing him money after their boys' basketball team ended.
Go ahead, sir.
I put the money to the team. He runs the team. I can't tell him how to run his team.
No, you have a contract, sir, that tells you what your $8,500 was to be used for, and the expectation that you were going to get that money returned to you via fees that were paid to each individual player. That has to be it. And in the event that they don't pay, who's going to pay?
Well, I do have a text message from the defendant saying, I did not use all the money. It did not cost $8,500,
Okay,
and I will pay you back.
That's what I would like to see. Because it was disbanded for whatever reason. All your reasons, sir, are hearsay. What is your first name?
Gianni.
Gianni, the reasons are hearsay. Why people left, they didn't like to be yelled at, they didn't like some people. That's all stuff that I can't process as a jurist in my head. All I know is this is a contract case. So now he paid $8,500, and did you, Mr. Senior, at some point say the $8,500 hasn't been all used up and I'll give you back some of the money?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
And this is also a text message saying he used it for his mortgage and that he agreed to pay me $400 a month to pay back the...
Okay. Coach, fees to catch up on my mortgage, use some fees to catch up on my mortgage, at least $1,500. And between operating costs, there is roughly $2,400 left.
Correct.
Oh, that's what you wrote to him?
Yeah, and I was willing to give him the money that the kids had paid up front.
No. There is roughly not the money that the kids paid up front, sir. You say to him in your text, after this was all over, because I assume that this is all over after the team is disbanded, there is roughly $2,400 left. So I'm going to have to work out sort of a payment arrangement, if you don't mind, which means you didn't have the money, but it was left over and you spent it on something else. And it's here it says, use some fees to catch up on my mortgage. I assume that's your home mortgage.
Correct, after the season was over.
Well, you can't do that. You can't do that, sir. Do you understand? Okay, well, this acknowledges several things. It acknowledges that he used $1,500 to catch up on his mortgage, right? And that, according to you and according to your son, whether or not you took a fee for yourself, paying your home mortgage is a fee. Do you understand that, sir?
I do.
All righty. So,
I sure do.
You sure do. So $1,500, did you pay him back the $1,500?
No, because at that point...
No, the answer is no. And you said even after the $1,500 that you used to pay your home mortgage, there was still $2,400 left. That's what you said in here. That's a yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, then you add 24 and 15 is 009 is $3,900.
Yes.
Even my rudimentary math suggests to me that that is a correct number. Well, that's minimally what you owe him. Your mortgage payment and the $2,400 left. You're suing him for $4,800.
Right.
This acknowledges 39.
Absolutely.
Prove to me any more.
So I went back to Mr. Senior and I said, I didn't necessarily believe that it cost $5,500 to run the team. I said, so therefore, you owe me $5,000. I said, you need to either get a loan and pay me back, or he said, I can't get a loan. I can give you $400 a month.
I'd like to see it. The exchange.
I said, if you're going to
I'd like to see the exchange. Just because you said, I think it's $5,000.
And this is where he says, I'd like to pay you back.
This doesn't say anything about $5,000.
And this is where I told him that he misappropriated money that was owed back to me, and that was his response.
Just because you said it, he doesn't acknowledge here in his answer that it's $5,000. Silence cannot be construed as acknowledging $5,000. Even the math doesn't fit in. You played more than half the tournaments. So
can we see how much the tournaments cost then, please?
No, I'm not bothering. That's nonsense. Put something in a contract. You're a contractor. Have a contract. Right now, he owes you $3,900.
And not for the uniforms?
No.
That has his team?
No, he says he doesn't have the uniforms. Okay. And I didn't go to 7 years postgraduate school to discuss a basketball uniform, a pair of shorts, and a pair of socks. I don't care.
The uniforms are $1,000.
Well, then somebody's overpaying for a pair of shorts. $3,900. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. We're finished.
Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
I think it was unfair.
I'm glad she ruled somewhat in my favor.
Because he sponsored a team.
And yes, did I do it for my son? I did. But there was 11 other young men that I did it for.
Fighting amongst each other, poor discipline, and the lack of financial support from the kids.
When you have a group of 18-year-old young men and you don't practice and you don't kind of reel them in and show them that you're the coach and that you run the team, it can get a little hairy.
It is what it is.
I did what I did for these young men. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Me and Jason's are friends. I don't think this is a deterrent.
Always have contracts.
Okay, so I know that when we got the paperwork on this case that you really tried hard to give me a rudimentary lesson in basketball.
I did. Those years managing in high school really paid off today. So
yes,
learned
that's right.
a lot.
You managed.
I did a basketball team, so I know a little bit about AAU. A lot of the kids that played at the school that I went to had previously played on AAU teams, so I kind of get
What's AAU?
Oh, Amateur Athletic Union, AAU.
I never would have figured that.
Me neither. So they played on a lot of AAU teams before coming to high school, so I know a little bit about the structure. And when I read it, it's a nonprofit organization that kids play in to get exposure, hopefully to move up to the next level of basketball. But to me, I read it as he was sponsoring the team for $8,500, sort of like how you see in Little League, Johnny's Pizza across the front of the
that wasn't this.
But this seemed like a different type of setup, and to go through the coach directly, I'm not sure the very specific structure of who gets paid and who doesn't, who sponsors and who doesn't, but definitely paying your mortgage out of an $8,500 that was meant to start a team seems a little outside.
Yeah, well, it's outside the box, especially since both he and his son say they do this without compensation. Mm-hmm. Well, you don't have to take money and put it in your pocket. If you take money out of that account and pay your personal mortgage, that's getting paid. It was not a difficult case, and the text messages made the whole thing a lot easier. Now I know that there were 5 people on a court
basketball
from each team.
Yeah.